in southeast DuPage County live within 1 mile of that Sterigenics facility. The death toll from Sunday's fire in Chicago's Little Village neighborhood is now 10. Cook County Medical Examiner's Office says 14-year-old Adrian Hernandez died at the hospital yesterday. The 9 other victims killed range in age from 3 months to 16 years, and DCFS is investigating the home. Chicago Fire still looking for a cause. Chicago police officer Jason Van Dyke is speaking out for the first time since he shot and killed Laquan McDonald in 2014. Van Dyke is set to go on trial next week for the murder of that 17-year-old. He told the Tribune he prays every day for the teen's family and that he is nervous about possibly spending the rest of his life in prison simply for doing his job the way he was trained to do. The family of Stephen Rosenthal is refuting claims by authorities that the teen shot and killed himself during a police chase earlier this month on Chicago's west side. Speaking yesterday, family attorney Andrew Strove said police body cam video of the moments before and after the shooting were, in his opinion, inconclusive.
It doesn't show the shooting. It shows Stephen going up the stairs. It shows officers coming after him. And then you don't see anything until you see Stephen dead on the upstairs landing.
The Cook County Medical Examiner's Office did rule Rosenthal's death was a suicide. The 11th candidate in the race for mayor of Chicago plans to formally announce her campaign tonight. Amara Inya is running for the 5th floor for the second time at Chicago City Hall. The policy consultant was in the 2015 race before dropping out and joining then-Alderman Bob Fioretti's campaign. Authorities are calling the deaths of a couple in Midlothian a murder-suicide. Cesar Orozco and Andrea Echevarria were found shot to death Monday inside of an apartment near 147th and Holman. Investigators determined that Orozco shot Echevarria during a domestic dispute before turning the gun on himself. A collision between a commuter train and a vehicle in northern Indiana left one person dead and delayed train service for about 90 minutes. Authorities have not identified the victim of Tuesday's collision between a pickup truck and Chicago's South Shore and South Bend commuter train. Gary police said the driver of that pickup drove around down Gates before the vehicle was struck by the train. People who get a prescription for opioid pain pills in Illinois can now swap it out for medical marijuana. Governor Bruce Rauner yesterday signing a law that allows for people to use marijuana instead of pain pills like OxyContin, Percocet, or Vicodin to treat pain. School officials in Arlington Heights are considering making parents of chronically truant students a little more accountable. They're supporting a proposal that would permit police to ticket moms and dads who allow their children to skip school without a valid reason. Violators would also face a fine ranging from $500 to $750. Truancy proposal will go before the village board for a vote next month. Cubs and Mets resume play today at noon after last night's game was suspended because of rain. Neil Walker hit a pinch hit bomb in the bottom of the ninth. Yankees rally to beat the White Sox 5-4 in the Bronx. The Fire fell 4-0 to reigning German Bundesliga champions Bayern Munich. However, there was an interesting player in this game, Bastian Schweinsteiger, who plays for the Fire and captained the Chicago team for the first half, and then switched jerseys and represented his former side, Bayern Munich, in the second half, and actually scored against the Fire in the 83rd minute. The news, a service of Unbound.org. Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice. Continue their dream of an education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at Unbound.org. 5:09. We'll have a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Don't miss Freedom Summit 2018, coming to the Chicago West and Northwest in Itasca on Saturday, October 27th. This year, featuring headline speakers, former Milwaukee County Sheriff David Clark and James O'Keefe from Project Veritas. Also appearing, AM 560's Mike Gallagher, Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson, and Joe Walsh. Get your tickets today at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by Precision Payroll of America, Automated Systems Incorporated, and by Joe Cotton Ford in Carroll Street.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
It's the Labor Day sale at Ace, which means it's the perfect time to buy a grill from our exclusive lineup of premium brands, including Weber, Traeger, and more. Right now, get the right grill at the right price, delivered right to your door. Now through Labor Day, hurry in and save $50 on select Weber Spirit grills. Plus, get free assembly and delivery on any grill $3.99 and up, only at Ace. Offer valid for Ace Rewards members only through September 3rd. Store stock only. See participating store for scheduling and details.
When the need for senior care arises, there's no place like home. Your loved ones should never have to give up living at home. Visiting Angels will provide home care for your mom or dad at home up to 24 hours per day, including personal care, meals, and light housework. You'll select your professional caregiver with Visiting Angels. Look up visitingangels.com or call 877-374-LIVE. That's 877-374-LIVE. Franchises are available. Visiting Angels, America's choice in senior home care.
Are customers passing you by because it's a major hassle to park in your lot? Convenient and safe parking may be one of the most overlooked aspects of your business. You've neglected your parking lot for way too many years. It's falling apart and could be scaring business away. Pavement Solutions can get your parking lot in shape. With proper care, you can extend the life of your current lot with Pavement Solutions' certified specialty blend product called Gem Seal, Black Diamond, and Duramax. Yeah, it's a mouthful, but the best seal coat product in the industry. It'll protect your lot from sub-zero temperatures to a scorching 110-degree sun and features an abrasive, non-slip coat for safety and durability. With Enduramax, your lot will have that brand new feel and look at a fraction of the price of a new lot. You and your customers will be safe, and your business will look great. For parking lot repairs to snow removal, go to fixmylots.org. That's fixmylots.org and get a free estimate. Plus, learn about getting 5% off your next job from Pavement Solutions. Success happens with an affordable full-time IT staff from Turnkey IT. Just listen.
We're a contracting architecture firm with 50 employees in 2 states. We hosted our own email and file and print servers on a local area network, and the systems were always down more than they were up. Very frustrating. Turnkey IT migrated our email to Office 365 and simplified our network using additional cloud-based systems and cool advanced technologies. All our company's local data is backed up and replicated, security measures are in place to avoid dangerous threats online, and we have a really nice voice-over IP phone system. Remote users can make phone calls and appear like they're in the office when they're at a construction site. With reliable systems, our employees are more productive, and that's transformed the company's bottom line. Thank you, Turnkey IT.
Your business can have great success too, with a full-time IT staff starting at $7.95 a month from Turnkey IT.
Leave the technical stuff to the pros so you can focus on the important things. Visit turnkey.pro today. Turnkey.pro.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. But not with ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. Its powerful technology actively invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So, while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you, the needle in the haystack.
Try ZipRecruiter now for free by going to ZipRecruiter.com/hire. That's ZipRecruiter.com/hire.
Well, I can tell you that the winning card remains hidden in the McHenry VFW Post Queen of Hearts drawing. You know how much money, Jim Talamonte, that pot has in it right now?
VFW Queen of Hearts. How much?
$4.86 million.
Oh. Wow.
It's a lot of money. There's only a few cards left. Get your tickets now. How about the roads this morning in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center?
Oh, man. No jackpots to talk about here. It's rough sledding out there, or boating, or rafting, whatever you've got. And we haven't had any quelling of the violence issues despite the rain on the near northwest side. Northbound Ashland is closed from Augusta to Division for investigation of a shooting outside a nightclub on West Division Street. Police are still very busy in that area. We also have a number of crashes. There's one northwest of there on Western, north of Diversey. Units are responding. Outbound Stevenson at Harlem. 2 left lanes are closed for the crash. Road work delays on inbound I-57 despite the rain. It's heavy Holston to the merge. Just a brief slowdown. Inbound Bishop Ford, about a 2 or 3 minute delay. Cottage Grove to the Ryan. Right lane is blocked. A crash right downtown. Wabash whacked through a car into a pole. Mike mentioned there are flight cancellations and delays this morning at Chicago's airports. Most of the trains are on schedule. We've got one 10-minute delay on the Union Pacific North line, but the NSF actually for now looks good. Traffic is the service of unbound.org. Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice. Continue their dream of education or drop out, their family put food on the table. You can help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at unbound.org. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Jim, thank you. Chicago's Morning Answer starts next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the 1 hour Heating and Air Conditioning Weather Center. The latest with meteorologist Kevin Snyder.
After a couple of early showers, clouds give way to some sun today, high 75. Clear night tonight with a low 61. Tomorrow, partly sunny, high 75. And a clear night tomorrow night with a low again, 61. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
70 at O'Hare, 70 along the lakefront, 70 at Midway. Your next news update is at 5:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy starts now on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by The Lou Bridges Show, a show about the truth of the foreclosure crisis. Saturday mornings at 8 on AM 560, The Answer.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy, and the church sex abuse scandal. In the wake of the grand jury report out of Pennsylvania, and then the Vigano testimony, the 11 pages of testimony that implicate the top reaches of the Catholic Church's hierarchy, including Pope Francis, particularly as it relates to Cardinal Theodore McCarrick and allegations, settlements of his systemic sexual abuse of seminarians over an extended period of time. Cardinal Supich in Chicago, also implicated, not in terms of being an abuser, let's be clear here, a lot of lines to be drawn, but in terms of being somebody who benefited from McCarrick. He was, according to the Vigano letter, elevated to Archbishop of Chicago, despite the fact that he wasn't one of the names referred to the Pope for that position. But McCarrick, behind the scenes, who was then working as an advisor to Pope Francis, moved Supich in Chicago, moved another individual in for the diocese in Newark, New Jersey. And this is after, again, according to Vigano, Pope Francis's predecessor, had disciplined and essentially sent to Siberia McCarrick. Francis brought him back. Had to know at the time. There was there were stories, there was too much public information. The hierarchy of the church had to know. They had to know.
There were pictures of him. It was disgusting. They called him Uncle Ted, and he had befriended this kid in a family that he had become close with, and they had gone on trips when he was a kid to San Francisco, to different places, and what he did to him was disgusting. They detailed the whole thing. Now they're pressing criminal charges. Probably statute of limitations is up, but they're still filing charges against him in those states and in Washington, D.C.
Supich conferred an award on McCarrick just 2 years ago.
Oh.
They scrubbed the video from the Archdiocesan website. That's usually a sign of...
That's not a good sign.
Oops. Yeah. Supich and Francis both playing dumb. Francis saying he won't comment on the Vigano testimony. Supich finally sat down with Chicago media in the last 48 hours, Chicago Tonight, where he was,
lobbed a bunch of softballs from Ponce, of course. And Marion Ahern, NBC5, got this out of Supich, which was making the rounds yesterday, responding to, just the Pennsylvania grand jury report.
Right.
300 priests, 1,000 individuals over 70 years who were abused by clergy. And the curious case of McCarrick's staying power low these many years, despite what we knew publicly about him, at least in terms of the severity of the allegations serious enough, credible enough, that there were settlements more than a decade ago.
Yeah, he settled with a lot of seminarians who said that he harassed them, he groped them, and they all had the same story, that there was never any kissing or hand-holding involved, but there was other things for the private parts.
Here's Supich on Francis.
The Pope has a bigger agenda. He's got to get on with other things, of talking about the environment and protecting migrants and carrying on the work of the church. We're not going to go down a rabbit hole on this.
Not going down a rabbit hole. Bigger things to worry about, like junk science on climate, like Syrian refugees, sanctuary cities, Cardinal Supich. Bigger things to worry about. Not going down a rabbit hole of a honest reckoning with the hundreds of millions of Catholics around the world. How about just the millions in Chicago? Not going to have a reckoning in terms of what happened. By the way, the Chicago Archdiocese, north of $140 million in settlements to date. $4.5 million in the McCormick case alone. Not going to go down that rabbit hole of an honest accounting. To tell me that doesn't sound like your typical politician, and Cardinal Supich is nothing if not political. And it turns out that's about all he is. There is nothing. Listening to Supich yesterday, it just struck me. There is nothing in Illinois. There is no institution in Illinois that has not been completely rendered illegitimate by politics, that is not thoroughly corrupt. And I'm sorry to say, as a Catholic, that includes the Archdiocese of Chicago. Maybe not under Cardinal George, but this, in the wake of the Vigano letter, and it's
there's no contrition, there's no remorse, they're like re-victimizing the victims.
Well, it's very interesting.
Saying, we've got other things. Don't bother me with sexual abuse right now. I've got climate control.
Yeah. No, climate change. I need to go watch Inconvenient Truth again. I'm sorry, I don't have time for this.
He said that there's no secret files here in Chicago like there were in Pennsylvania. And Lisa Madigan said their new hotline, they've received 20 new tips.
That's
it.
But Cardinal Supich has.
Well, he claims that isn't that enough?
He's running interference for Pope Francis.
Yeah.
What's really going on here? That may be the case in Chicago.
That's why he came out when he did.
And
as a distractor.
And here's how much he's running interference for Supich. Are you ready for his Father Flager impersonation?
Uh-oh.
Here's why people are going after Supich. After Francis says Supich.
Quite frankly, they also don't like him because he's a Latino.
Oh.
So
I completely forgot that he was a Latino. Everybody's a Latino now.
The first refuge of the scoundrel, race baiting. Tell me he doesn't sound like a polished Chicago politician.
Yeah.
What's the difference between the rap that you hear from Supich on Francis than what you would hear from a Louis Gutierrez defending Tiny Dancer? Can you distinguish the two? Because I can't. It's disgusting. It's sad. Greg in Schaumburg.
What's really heartbreaking about this is that there are so many priests that work constantly and effort. They're just really, really good people. But Cardinal Supich's statements are just unbelievable to have made within the context of everything that is going on within the church. Namely, the fact that only about 21% of Catholics go to church anyway. And most of their parishes are really hurting financially. And this is not going to help matters at all.
Thanks for the call, Greg. Tom in Deer Park.
Yeah, good morning. I would echo that previous caller's comments about the excellent clergy, and we hurt for them because of the painting of the broad brush. But as far as Cardinal Supich, the way he handled this thing yesterday, it almost reminds me of when Harvey Weinstein had his bad day, and he said he's going to go off to retire and double down to go after the NRA.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how tone deaf that was yesterday. Supich put something out on Twitter having to do with capital punishment, and then he went back to the socialist progressive trope about climate change. So it's very it almost seems orchestrated, like they think that we're that stupid out here.
Well, it is.
Thanks
because
for the call, Tom.
The files came out, and then McCarrick, and then Pope Francis made a statement, and then boom. I mean, within hours, Cardinal Supich is sitting down with every single news media outlet in Chicago.
Well, I'll tell you what. There's a really good piece in the New York Times by Matthew Schmitz. Is there a Catholic Civil War coming?
Ooh.
And Schmitz, who writes for First Things normally, and the answer is there should be. George in Barrington.
If Paterno lost his job, Francis has got to go. Francis, you ought to be dictator pope. This guy's been a disaster from liberation theology on. And the other part of it is, I don't know if he's really Latino. I know he's Italian. Italians are Latins, so I guess he is. But his Argentinian liberation theology is the problem.
Thanks for the call, George.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper. Hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Coming up, election results are in, and Bernie Sanders, another fave of his, is on a ballot in Florida. We'll tell you about it. But first, here's your forecast. A couple of showers early this morning. The heat and humidity has broken. A high today of just 75 degrees. We have 70 degrees right now at O'Hare. Tonight, clear, and then for tomorrow, partly sunny and pleasant. A high in the mid-70s. Let's get into the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. Here is Jim Telemonte.
Heavy boarding, Jack. Boarding near northwest side. Northbound Ashland is closed. Augusta up to Division. This is for shooting investigation after a shooting outside a nightclub nearby on Division Street. Von Eisenhower seeing delays now 17th to Harlem and Ashland to the Circle. 33 minutes, 390 to downtown. Stevenson, about a 3-minute delay Harlem to Central. Outbound, it's jammed Central to Harlem. The crash on the left shoulder, that's about a 12-minute backup. Ryan, 18 minutes, 95th to downtown. I-57, 18 minutes, I-80 to the merge. Bishop, 426. I'm Jim Talamonte in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center.
Hey, Craig and Leslie here from In the Know. I love to barbecue, but there's nothing worse than running out of propane in the midst of cooking. It's all about being prepared, and that's how we look at your retirement planning.
Absolutely. That's why our whole team at Wealth Management Group is fired up about helping you be ready.
Tune in each week as we discuss practical ways to be ready for your retirement.
Find us at investwithwmg.com and pick Wealth Management Group to be your +1 this summer. Listen to In the Know Sunday mornings at 10, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Did you know, Amy, that McHugh Construction is the premier builder of landmark, one-of-a-kind structures in Chicago and across the Midwest, but they also perform on smaller projects?
Yes, Dan, I do. The Special Olympics Eternal Flame of Hope at Soldier Field, Gibson's Italia, Mad West Restaurant in the United Center, and the recently completed Ritz-Carlton lobby. In fact, McHugh has served public and private sector clients since 1897 on big and small projects, and are proud to have played a major part in improving Chicago's infrastructure and helping to redefine its iconic skyline. For information on how McHugh can play a part in your project, visit McHughConstruction.com.
Yeah, that Gibson's Italia is nice. That's McHughConstruction.com, MCHUGH Construction.com. McHugh Construction proudly supports the 100 Club of Chicago, and many McHugh employees have volunteered their time for the past decade. The 100 Club of Chicago provides financial support and scholarships to families of first responders who have lost their lives in the line of duty. For info on how you can help first responder families, visit 100clubchicago.org.
Now, a lot of people want me to stop with these annoying commercials. I'll make a deal with you. I'll stop with the annoying commercials if you stop with the horrible snoring. Listen, people, don't blame me for your problems, all right? You see the hypocrisy? You're sitting there in the car. You have the luxury of turning down the dial. What about the person sleeping next to you? They can't turn down your mouth or your horrible snoring noise. Go to Zyppah.com. That's ZYPPAH.com. Get this fixed.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. but not with ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. Its powerful technology actively invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So, while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you, the needle in the haystack.
Try ZipRecruiter now for free by going to ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We'll hear from Jim Brown. Jim Brown, NFL legend, talks race and Trump on Fox and Friends. We'll have some of his more salient bites at 5:38.
But first, let's go into the newsroom, and here is Mike Scott.
Rain showers, 70 degrees. Heavy rain could cause some major flooding in the Chicago area and low-lying areas. Flash flood watch is in effect until 7 a.m. Geneva saw trees fall. Heavy winds felled trees in Kane County. ComEd says about 16,000 are in the dark this morning across several counties. So far, dozens of flights have been canceled at O'Hare, and the rain continues to fall. Arizona is on track to elect its first woman as U.S. Senator. In Tuesday's primary, Congresswoman Martha McSally won a bitter three-way battle for the Republican nomination to replace outgoing Senator Jeff Flake.
This is how I see this campaign. It's a choice between a doer and a talker, between a patriot and a protester.
On the Democrat side, Congresswoman Kristen Sinema won in a landslide and will face McSally. In the Florida primary, Democrat Andrew Gillum became the surprise winner of that state's Democrat primary and became the state's first black nominee for governor.
As I have said, as I moved all across the state of Florida, that this thing is not about me. It never has been, and it never will be. This race is about every last single one of us.
The Tallahassee mayor facing a swirl of investigations, narrowly beat former Congresswoman Gwen Graham for the nomination and will face the popular Ron DeSantis.
And I was able to talk to the president. I want to thank him for his support. I want to thank him for entrusting me with viewing me as somebody who could be a great leader for Florida. So thank you, Mr. President.
DeSantis says he's looking to build on the success of Governor Rick Scott, who's running against Democrat Senator Bill Nelson in November. Puerto Rico raising the official death toll from Hurricane Maria to nearly 3,000. Governor Ricardo Rossello telling reporters the government changing the death toll to 2,975 based on a George Washington University report. Former North Texas police officer going to prison in the shooting death of an unarmed black teen. Odell Edwards is the victim's father.
It's been a long time. It's a hard year. I'm just really happy.
A Dallas County jury found Roy Oliver guilty of murder yesterday for the killing of Jordan Edwards. This morning, crews will continue searching for a kayaker who went missing in Lake Michigan near Highland Park. Sebastian Duncan disappeared in the water Monday night. No one in custody following a major drive-by shooting overnight that left 3 men wounded on the south side. Police say victims were sitting in a car in the 300 block of West 120th when someone in another vehicle opened fire. The death toll from Sunday's fire in Chicago's Little Village neighborhood is now 10. Cook County Medical Examiner's Office says 14-year-old Adrian Hernandez died at the hospital yesterday. 9 other victims killed ranged in age from 3 months to 16 years. The son of Chicago's police chief has been sworn in as a rookie officer. A year after donating a kidney to his dad, Daniel Johnson got a big hug from his new boss yesterday, Superintendent Eddie Johnson, when he crossed the stage. The elder Johnson called it one of the most special days of his life. Cubs and Mets resume play later today after last night's game was suspended because of rain in the 10th inning. Neil Walker hit a pinch hit bomb in the bottom of the ninth as the Yankees had to rally to beat the White Sox 5-4 in the Bronx. The news service of Unbound.org. Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice. Continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at unbound.org. 534, we'll have a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher sees more and more evidence of a corrupt media.
Oh, ICE arrested a man who was trying to take his pregnant wife to the hospital to give birth. They found out he's wanted for murder. And as soon as they found out he's a murder suspect, the story, it just vanished. If you want an example of a corrupt news media, here it is.
The Mike Gallagher Show. Weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Remember this promise from Barack Obama?
And if you already have health care, then we're going to reduce costs an average of $2,500 per family on premiums.
The truth is, premiums in the individual under 65 market have more than doubled since the ACA exchanges opened in 2014, especially for the millions of Americans who do not qualify for subsidies. If you're healthy and do not need coverage for pre-existing conditions, premiums are much lower in the non-ACA health insurance market. These policies will keep you consistently insured all year long, and they include a nationwide PPO. And there's no one better to help you navigate the Obamacare maze than C. Stephen Tucker. He's a 20-year licensed broker who I know and trust, who's been educating listeners for more than 6 years. Steve, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Thanks, Dan. They can visit healthinsurancementors.com. That's healthinsurancementors.com. Or call me directly at 630-674-1551. That's 630-674-1551.
535. Let's get an update on the roads in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. Here's Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. Flight boards at O'Hare show some cancellations and delays this morning. Near northwest side, there's a closure of northbound Ashland from Augusta Division for shooting investigation. Edens is okay. Those speeds are reduced everywhere with wet roadways. Rain. Kennedy, okay for now. In Bud Eisenhower, delays are from Mannheim to Harlem and Demon to the Burn Circle. 35 minutes, 390 to downtown. Outbound 29. Stevenson, 48 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Outbound 50. Crash at Harlem on the left shoulder. Ryan is 22 minutes, 95th to downtown. I-57, 18 minutes, I-80 to the merge, Bishop 428. Lakeshore Drive now has delays through the construction. Northbound from Jackson to Monroe. Southbound still okay. Getting a little heavy approaching the area near Navy Pier. Tollways are still looking good. And traffic, service of the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation. Use your power to cure and pedal with purpose at Spin for Crohn's and Colitis Cures, a high-energy indoor cycling event benefiting the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation. Visit spin4.org to learn more. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the 1-hour heating and air conditioning weather center. A couple of showers early this morning. Clouds will break. We'll have a cooler afternoon, a high only of 75. Clear and 61 overnight, and a great day tomorrow, high only of 75 under partly sunny skies. Currently 70 with rain showers. Next news coming up at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Don't forget that you can watch Chicago's Morning Answer on the Income Store live video stream every morning at 560theanswer.com.
You want more than just the headlines? Find out what's going on and what it means with me, Dennis Prager, this morning at 11, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. We're often critical of the D.C. press corps for the stories they choose to report, the stories they don't, the way they choose to report them. But here, you know, you have to tip your cap when it's appropriate. And the Associated Press has this scoop. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
I mean, after Labor Day, the Cavanaugh confirmation hearings start, right?
Right.
So we need to know information about Brett Cavanaugh not contained in the hundreds of opinions he's written as a jurist.
Is he retired from coaching 5th and 6th grade girls basketball?
No, it delves back into his time at Yale.
Uh-oh.
And
is this going to be bad? Because I'm not in the mood for bad news.
It's not bad. It's horrible.
Oh, he just wants to have dinner with his wife and no other women?
AP Politics reporting. Brace yourself.
Okay.
As a student at Yale in the 1980s, Brett Cavanaugh stayed out of debates on campus that was going through many of them friends and acquaintances say he seemed more interested in basketball.
Oh, my.
Obviously, it's disqualifying.
Hitting the hardwood, huh? Shooting the rock?
Instead of going to
Campus debates, yeah.
Or right, the LGBT rallies or whatever was going on at Yale, protesting Halloween costumes. He was.
Well, I think he should be disqualified.
Playing basketball.
Cavanaugh, you naughty boy.
I would. He was probably listening to rock and roll in his dorm room, too, rather than participating in those debates.
Wait, are you... That's
disgusting. He's a monster.
That's all they could find on him?
I withdraw
any
my
unpaid
support.
parking tickets, any bar fights, any relationship problems? That's all they found.
I don't think you're hearing me. He resisted participating in the social justice zeitgeist on campus, preferring basketball instead.
Oh.
Boy. Talk about a character flaw. All right, we'll stay on this story. We'll let you know what else Brett Kavanaugh he may have cut in line at the cafeteria. We don't know, but AP is on it, so we'll keep you updated on this developing story. In other news, Jim Brown made some yesterday. Jim Brown was on Fox and Friends talking to Brian Kilmeade. Jim Brown, he's north of 80 years old. I think he's 82 years old.
He looks great.
He does, and he's quite lucid. And he's got a lot to say. Obviously, Jim Brown has been a noted activist since he left his legendary career in professional football. And Kilmeade had him on to talk a little bit about his relationship with Trump and a little bit about racial politics. Here's Jim Brown describing his relationship with the president.
Well, I'll tell you, the greatest thing about America is that we all have our opinions and our thoughts. Nobody is totally correct in everything that they do. I have access to the president, and anytime I have access to the president and he will listen to my thoughts, that's all I can ask of him. And that's what I do. So this president is accessible, and he's different, he's challenging, and he pays attention to what I say.
And Jim Brown essentially suggesting, as you heard, look, if I can get an audience with the President of the United States and he'll take into consideration something I have to say, what more can I ask for? And he also, because Jim Brown is a guy who holds himself accountable, which so few do these days, particularly in the public eye, he talked about what is happening on the ground, what I'm doing, the more I could be doing, and then I can talk to somebody in a position of power like the president to amplify good things that are being done by me or others in my community. Jim Brown on sort of taking up, what was that famous Democrats line about doing for your country rather than your country doing for you?
So I don't blame him and what his office can produce. I look at what I can produce in the black community and the community at large and all the individuals that I can influence that will work with us to make this a better country. So we should look at ourselves first before we look at the president. Well, I'll tell you, it's very hard to produce for the black community in a certain way. The black community, and I'm a part of the black community, has a responsibility regardless of what the president does. And if you have a homicide rate within your black community, then it's not the president that's created that homicide rate. It's the black community itself that needs to address it. So I don't want to just put everything on him. And I'm sorry to say that the black community is not doing what we should do, and that includes myself. I can work harder, I can donate more money, I can go more places, but we have to be able to, as citizens, bring something that the president can join forces with and triple the effectiveness of it.
312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. You know, don't believe the president. Don't believe lily white pansies from Wheaton like me. Believe Jim Brown. What about Jim Brown, what he has to say? Something different than you hear amplified by the D.C. press corps, which is the Black Lives Matter grievance identity politics of the left, isn't it?
Yeah. Black Lives Matter. Honestly, I think it's a local terrorist group. Black Lives Matter. They're trying now to. Did you know their new movement in Chicago, real quick, is to take Chicago police officers out of public schools? That's what they want to do. And,
well,
and I wanted to say to those
they've been given a
kiddies,
seat at the table.
Yeah.
Black Lives Matter has
Well,
been given a
that's the
seat at
problem.
the table.
And I want to say to those kiddies, do any of you have children? Do you know what's going on? I mean, not that you don't care if you don't have kids, but I have children in CPS, and every school should have armed officers. That's at the high school level, and they do. Every school, even Walter Payton Prep, Lane Tech, wherever, has metal detectors to get through.
Have you watched this series yet that's been launched on Stars, America to Me, about Oak Park River Forest High School? It's done by Steve James, the great documentarian who did Hoop Dreams and who sent his kids to Oak Park River Forest. He's local.
I haven't watched it yet. Is it?
I saw the first episode yesterday. I think there's only a couple episodes out so far.
Yeah.
We're efforting him to get him on the show. But America to Me, by the way, that's a phrase ripped from a Langston Hughes poem. The way that racial politics, race, diversity, the buzzword of the generation, is treated at OPRF is sort of jarring to see through the eyes of the few students that they kind of follow around
they profiled
to give perspective. Yeah. I mean, we know about what happened there with the blacks-only student assembly a couple years ago that sparked so much controversy. But to hear from the students' perspective and also to get the perspectives of additional administrators, it's rather revealing. Just one episode I've seen so far. And it runs about 180 degrees counter to what Jim Brown is offering, was offering, as you heard, when he sat down with Brian Kilmeade at Fox.
So do these students feel discriminated against because of the color of their skin? I mean, is that the whole premise of the...
It's not the entire premise, but there's certainly, that's a strain that runs through the first episode, and I suspect it's going to run through the entire series. And remember, this is obviously leftist paradise, leftist utopia, right? This is an integrated leftist community with a high school, even though it's upper middle income, a high school that's majority white, but it's got about a quarter of the students are black, and about a tenth of the students are Latino, and 3% are Asian. And watching the left apply their feel-good progressivism to classes like English literature is something to see. It's not the English literature class I took.
Are you surprised that they let the cameras in and let them do this? Because I know the principal and the assistant principal said absolutely not, and the school board's the one that said, no, we need to let them in.
Yeah, I think
if we're really going to be, all-inclusive, we want to know all-encompassing, we need to see what's going on.
Superintendent and principal were opposed to the cameras, but the school board came over the top.
I think it'd be distracting if you're a student too,
In the first episode, I mean, you get, I think
I have to watch that.
You get a little bit of it, it's hard to not know the camera's there, but I don't know. I think it's first of all, there are interviews, so you get face to camera and people's thoughts, which is interesting, and then they're followed around a little bit. So does it distort it a little bit? Maybe a little bit, but I think it's nonetheless fairly revealing. And so going back to Jim Brown and the charge of the day, Trump is a racist. Right? If you disagree with someone, then they're a racist. That's the left. Those the names they have to call. You're a misogynist, you're a homophobe, you're a racist. All of the isms and all of the phobias. That's all they have. Jim Brown has more. And he answered that question about President Trump straight away.
Hey, Jim, do you look at this president, the times you say him one-on-one before and after him being president, is he a racist?
I'm so glad you asked me that. Of course not. Is America racist? Of course not. The emancipation, the advancement of black people in this country is based upon white people who risk their lives just to do the right thing to make the playing field equal and balanced. So we always talk about the negative, but what about the positive? How many black athletes are millionaires because of those fans, white fans that go to those games? The NBA, the National Football League, those organizations would be out of business if it were not for people of, not of color, but white people that go to those games and support those teams. So we have to give credit to the positive aspect of what people are doing in America and stop going to the negative first.
Uh-oh. Boy, you know, it's easy to label conservatives, and it's easy for black politicians to go after the likes of Republican or conservative politicians, pundits, authors. How about going after Jim Brown? See, because it's not, Jim Brown is not just a legendary athlete. I mean, he's got 40 years of social activism, 40 years of working with gangs to try and curb violence, 40 years of working in neighborhoods and the streets to not just present a better path, but also to get those kids on that better path. So you want to, what's Jim Brown? Is he an Uncle Tom? Which of the Black Lives Matter bedwetters, which dandy Hollywood actor or a pampered professional athlete like Cuba-loving Colin Kaepernick want to go after Jim Brown? Love to hear it. By the way, Jim Brown, speaking of athletes and the bedwetters and pampered, Jim Brown on the NFL, since the season is upon us, respecting the flag and respecting the anthem.
We should never denigrate our flag and our national anthem. We should always be Americans first, and we should work our butts off to do the right thing and make it a better country. But to not respect your flag and your national anthem is something that I would never do.
Yeah, Jim Brown, unfortunately, a bygone generation that produced great leaders and intellects. Great athletes, yeah. Great leaders. Jim Brown, great intellects, Thomas Sowell, Walter Williams, Bob Woodson, I should say, Shelby Steele. So many more that don't get the profile that they deserve, don't get amplified the way they should because they're not part of the Hate America First group. But boy, I'd love to let Jim Brown's comments seep out into the body politic and those political organizations we discussed and prompt a reaction. Love for some enterprising reporters to pick up Jim Brown's comments and put them right to the Spike Lees of the world and all those who are given profile, the Michael Eric Dysons of the world. Love to see Dyson versus Jim Brown on CNN. How about that, rather than Candace Owens? How about somebody who's lived a life and proven up? That's Jim Brown.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Famous Winston Churchill quotes, presented by Automated Systems.
In reference to the Nazis, Winston Churchill stated, "An appeaser is one who feeds a crocodile hoping it will eat him last." That wisdom certainly proved true.
It's important we support companies that share our conservative values. If you are a manufacturer, I encourage you to call my friend Laz Kulchar from Automated Systems. As a software and systems integration company, Automated Systems creates custom solutions to make your production lines, facilities, and plants run more efficiently. Imagine less downtime, more speed, and fewer rejects. It doesn't matter if you're a Fortune 500 or a startup, Automated Systems delivers solutions for your toughest automation challenges. For information, I encourage you, man, to talk to Laz at Automated Systems. Call 844-HIRE-ASI or visit automatedsys.com. That's 844-HIRE-ASI.
You dread the sound of your cell phone buzzing with unknown caller. It's probably your mortgage company calling about your overdue payments again. Maybe you found yourself in a difficult financial situation due to hardship, and now it seems like your world is falling apart. Your home is on its way to foreclosure.
Foreclosure is not your only option. I'm Angela Sikors Epstein of ATC Mitigation Services. We're a company that specializes in short sales, a way to satisfy your loan with the bank and avoid foreclosure. Although other real estate professionals can handle short sales, they just don't have the experience and knowledge of the process like our mitigation company. We'll work with your mortgage lender to get their approval for a short sale. You can even list your property through a preferred realtor.
A short sale can help you avoid the pain and hassle of foreclosure and will stop those dreaded phone calls. Call ATC Mitigation at 630-517-8510 and hear about the benefits of a short sale. If you're on the verge of losing your home, call today or go to easyshortsales.org.
Attention to this important announcement. If you have ever taken prescriptions like Adderall and are concerned about the side effects and high cost, now there's a new all-natural smart pill available that's the closest thing to a safe, real-life, limitless pill. It's so powerful and effective that students, athletes, and execs all want to get their hands on it. It's called Limitless, a Coastline product, and it's truly remarkable. It can help skyrocket your concentration, improve your creative thinking, enhance your memory, and make you feel like a better version of yourself. Call and find out how to get a free bottle of Limitless and experience this firsthand. It's not a question of whether this powerful pill works, but how great it can make you feel. Take it and watch it go to work. Limitless may be the best kept secret available today.
To find out how to get your free bottle of Limitless, call 800-605-1653. That's 800-605-1653. Get your free bottle for a limited time. Call now, 800-605-1653, 800-605-1653.
Hey guys, Ken here from the Business Accelerator podcast, Today's Growth. If you had to choose a vehicle to take you up the rocky side of a mountain, would you choose a Ferrari or a Jeep? The Ferrari's faster, cooler, maybe even sexier, but if you have to get to the top, the Jeep's a better bet. I think we can agree getting to the top is not about the driver, it's the vehicle. Have you noticed people often pick their financial vehicle like they pick their cars? Washington Post shared that only 1 out of 4 people choose a job that uses their college degree. Why? Simple. Something more immediate, maybe cooler, maybe even sexier came along first. Shouldn't the main deciding factors for revenue generation be production or output? Should the cool factor have any weight in choosing someone's income? If getting to the top of the financial mountain is mission critical for you, why not add a few Jeeps to your garage? Could your household or business use an additional revenue model that makes it to the top every time? If so, you have to see the Jeeps lined up at IncomeStore.com. That's IncomeStore.com.
When you're looking for a caring dentist and an experienced dental staff who'll treat you like family, then it's time to call Dr. Y at Oaklawn Dental LLC. Dr. Yerkes and his team will create a smile that you'll want to share with family and friends. Go to oaklawndentist.com for a complete list of services, or call Oaklawn Dental for an appointment with Dr. Y at 708-424-5700. And for a limited time, get a $100 credit on your new account. Call 708-424-5700. Oaklawn Dental LLC for the smile you deserve.
Don't forget that you can watch Chicago's Morning Answer on the Income Store live video stream every morning at 560theanswer.com.
5:57. Let's get an update on the roads now in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. Here is Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. It's slow going with the rain on the eastbound Eden Spur. The delays are from the Toll Plaza to Waukegan Road. The Edens itself still okay. Speeds are reduced due to the rain. Kennedy inbound, 25 minutes. O'Hare to downtown, outbound 22. Inbound Eisenhower, heavy Wolf to Harlem. And Damon to the Circle, 48 minutes. 390 to downtown, outbound 33. Now Stevenson, delays start at Lamont Road. It's 58 minutes. 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 52 with a crash at Harlem on the left side. On Orion, 26 minutes, 95th to downtown. I-57, 20 minutes, side east of the merge, Ishapur 35. Northbound Lakeshore Drive has delays Jackson to Monroe. Southbound 53 is heavy early from the Adams Tollway to Higgins. Traffic, service of unbound.org. Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice. Continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can help change their future in a single moment at unbound.org. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues after a full update from Fox News and your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the 1-hour Heating and Air Conditioning Weather Center. Here's our meteorologist, Kevin Snyder.
Turning out to be a cooler day today as clouds give way to some sun, high 75. Clear night, low 61. Tomorrow, partly sunny, high 75 and a clear night, low 61. Then Friday, clouds and sun, high 82. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
70 at O'Hare, the news, a service of Unbound.org. Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice. Continue that dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at unbound.org. 5:59. And here are the stories we are following on AM 560. The Answer. Heavy rain causing some flash flooding in the area, and flash flood watch is in effect until 7 a.m. Crews will be back on the water of Lake Michigan searching for a kayaker who went missing in Lake Michigan near Highland Park. Sebastian Duncan disappeared in the water Monday night. No one in custody following a drive-by shooting that left 3 men wounded on the far south side. And the Diocese of Gary has released a list of 10 former priests within the institution who have been found guilty of credible actions of sexual molestation of minors. Cubs and Mets resume play later today at noon because of their games suspended by rain. Well, the Yankees beat the White Sox 5-4. WIND, Chicago News Time, 6 o'clock.
It's President Trump versus Bernie Sanders. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. In the race for governor in Florida, candidates backed by both won their primaries. Fox's Eben Brown is live in Miami.
Yeah, Dave, both Republicans and Democrats in Florida chose anti-establishment candidates to run for governor. For the Republicans, it's Trump-backed Ron DeSantis, who was quick to paint his Democratic opponent, Andrew Gillum, as a socialist.
I'm trying to make Florida even better. He wants to make Florida Venezuela.
Now, DeSantis accuses Gillum of supporting single-payer health care. Gillum told his supporters last night,
"What is beneath my name is a belief that we have to treat health care in this state like a right and not a privilege."
Now, Gillum was often supported by Bernie Sanders. Dave?
And they also voted in Arizona.
You know, it's tempting to celebrate, but let's keep something in mind. This is not our objective.
Congresswoman Martha McSally, after winning a 3-way Republican Senate primary, looking forward to November taking on a Democratic Congresswoman, Kirsten Sinema.
It's a choice between a doer and a talker, between a patriot and a protester.
Sinema is hoping to flip retiring Senator Jeff Flake's red seat blue. In Phoenix today, people will pay their respects to the late Senator John McCain. His body will lie in state.
He taught me that principle and compromise are not mutually exclusive.
Republican Senator Lindsey Graham was in tears, paying tribute, standing next to McCain's desk draped in black. President Trump tweeted late last night Hillary Clinton's emails were hacked by China. Then he appeared to call for the FBI and the Department of Justice to investigate. His tweet followed a Daily Caller report that a Chinese-owned company had hacked into Clinton's private email server while she was Secretary of State. A deadly accident at a hotel construction site near Disney World in Orlando early this morning. A scaffolding collapsed above the 6th floor. 2 workers fell to their deaths. A third managed to hang on and climb to safety. Fox News. Fair and balanced.
Don't miss Freedom Summit 2018, coming to the Chicago West and Northwest in Itasca on Saturday, October 27th. This year, featuring headline speakers, former Milwaukee County Sheriff David Clark and James O'Keefe from Project Veritas. Also appearing, AM 560's Mike Gallagher, Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson, and Joe Walsh. Get your tickets today at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by Precision Payroll of America, Automated Systems Incorporated, and by Joe Cotton Ford in Carroll Stream.
It's the final days of the Ford Summer Sales Event. The last chance to find an incredible deal on the cars, trucks, and SUVs that make summer go right. Simply stop by a local Ford dealer or shop online at buyfordnow.com. Because the time to get behind the wheel of a new Ford during the Ford Summer Sales Event ends soon. And so do these amazing offers. The Ford Summer Sales Event is in its final days. That means it's the last chance to make summer go right with Ford, America's best-selling brand. Stop by your local Ford dealer and find great offers on many Ford cars, trucks, and SUVs. With leading driver assist technologies, it's easy to see why Ford is the brand more drivers buy and buy again. Look for yourself. But hurry, the Ford Summer Sales Event ends September 4th, 2018. To find out more, head to buyfordnow.com or stop by your local Ford dealer. Best-selling claim based on 2017 calendar year sales.
You're the one that's in charge of getting your business logo on everything. There are a lot of promotional product and branding companies that can do the work, but they're not marketing people. This is Bob Rowdy's. I'm a marketing guy. My company is Proforma Total Solutions. We have the resources of a $500 million company with the speed and response time of a small company. promotional items, apparel, commercial printing, trade show displays, direct mail, and more. Proforma isn't just an order taker. We help you make selections and help you find the best way to display your brand. And we can do it all. One place, one shop. Anything that has a logo on it, we can do it. Best thing, give us a try. Give us a chance to earn your business. Proforma, 708-301-4128. That's 708-301-4128. I know it's hard to remember a number, so here's where you can get all the info. BestLogoChoice.com. That's BestLogoChoice.com.
This is Dan Proft with 60 Seconds of Sanity for Upstream-Ideas.com. It's that time of year again. Politicians on your TV screen and in your mailbox inundating you with promises they don't intend to keep, while under the influence of their misplaced faith and magical words, the kids head back to college to accrue debt they'll finance into their 40s. Comrade Bernie and the Socialists have re-released their siren song of tuition-free college. They'll make college debt disappear much like Bernie's dutiful wife Jane made an entire college disappear. Of course, that debt will reappear in the form of increased government taking from you to finance schools your children didn't attend and pensions you won't receive. The Socialists are offering a free lunch with you on the menu. Make your own lunch. Not only should you send your kid to a school that promotes free markets, you should apply the fundamental tenet to the financing: work. One way is through income share agreements like Purdue University's Back a Boiler program, where a student's education is paid for up front and paid back through an agreed-upon percentage of his postgraduate income over a defined term. This aligns the interests and responsibilities of both the student and university. Both want the students to get good-paying jobs at companies or in sectors with upward mobility. Let's make financing a college education a teachable moment for the students and the politicians.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Oh, Nellie!
Oh, Nellie.
Nellie Orr, that is. Apologies to the late, great Keith Jackson. It turns out Nellie Orr has a problem. Either her husband is lying, or her boss is lying, or both of them are lying. This takeaway from Bruce Orr's closed-door testimony on the Hill yesterday, 8 hours worth of it. Washington Examiner reporting that what Bruce Orr, number 4 at Justice, wife Nellie works for Fusion GPS, right?
Right.
That's the firm that created the Trump dossier, unverified Trump dossier. And Bruce Orr was acting as a cutout to Christopher Steele, the British spy hired by Fusion GPS to compile the unverified dossier. After Tom Clancy. After Christopher Steele was dispatched from the FBI so that Christopher Steele could still communicate information back to the FBI that had broken off their relationship. Okay? All right.
Okay. All right.
It became very clear there are a number of factual conflicts, said Congressman Matt Gaetz. Either Bruce Orr's lying or Glenn Simpson's lying. Who do you choose if you're Nellie Orr? Whoa! Nellie. Who do you choose? Is it hubby or boss?
Well, which could give me more bang for my buck? You know what? I'm going to go with the boss.
Yo, it's out the door. I'm going where the money is.
Sorry. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Like lady's got to eat, got to take care of herself.
You get it both ways then. You keep your job, and then when you get divorced, I mean, you're still entitled to half the estate and half of his pension and all that.
To keep the car. Yeah.
Absolutely. Mark Meadows, who's the chairman of the House Freedom Caucus and a member of the committee that to which Bruce Orr appeared yesterday, he previewed some of what they were going to discuss with Bruce Orr, questions they wanted answers to. So did Darrell Issa, outgoing Republican congressman from California. Here's Issa.
Well, we want him to confirm what we already know from hard evidence, that he and his wife were part of a conspiracy to, in fact, create this narrative of involvement and wrongdoing by the president relative to the Russians. So we have a lot of evidence. Now the question is, can we get him to confirm the evidence, or will he deny the truth right before us in writing?
And then Mark Meadows explained the lines of questioning they were going to pursue with Orr.
There are three different lines of questioning. One, Congressman Issa talked about it. Will Bruce Orr verify what we already know? One of the interesting things is that we have evidence that would suggest that FBI informants were told that there was no collusion, and yet it seemed to be ignored. So we're going to ask Bruce Orr about that. Additionally, when you have Christopher Steele and Nellie Orr being paid tens of thousands and in some cases hundreds of thousands of dollars to put forth a false dossier, why would they rely so much on those two witnesses and ignore others? So there's about 60 plus questions that I have. Hopefully we'll get some truth, be able to report back to you. But, we're looking to honestly have a full day of questioning here.
And 8 hours is a full day. The interesting thing, too, is here's another guy who allegedly, according to Republicans on the Hill, provided the dossier to the FBI. I mean, how many people gave the FBI this dossier? You have allegations that McCain was involved in doing that. Bruce Orr was involved in doing that. John Brennan is the one who instigated. A lot of it's interesting. There's
a lot of cooks in the kitchen there.
Well, and there's a whole host of people who wanted to take credit for spurring the investigation. Do they still? Bruce Orr still want to wave that flag? Mark Meadows also, interestingly, made an overture for the declassification of documents, which a number of editorial boards and other pundits and some members of Congress, now including Mark Meadows, have been calling on the president to do.
Really, your viewers, the American people, that need to be the judges of this. I believe that we need to have complete transparency, take some of the documents that we've been able to see, declassify them, allow the American people to see it. And when they see it, they will be appalled at what happened within our FBI and DOJ. It should never happen in a constitutional republic.
I'd like to see him. So, the criticism that Trump will get from the Adam Schiffs of the world notwithstanding, documents that would inform and perhaps be dispositive of some of the questions the American people have and some of the fact-free allegations that are going back and forth, I think would be really helpful. I think they should. I think whatever legitimately can be declassified without compromising assets in the field and national security, all the obvious concerns, I think they should be released and should be released post-haste, because here again, Mark Meadows set off a bit of a firestorm before Bruce Orr's testimony yesterday when he alleged that, he alleged this.
I believe they did. We know that some people at the Department of Justice and FBI actually gave information to the media. Then the stories were reported. Then they used those reports to justify further investigations. That's like saying, well, we're going to incriminate on one hand and be the jury on the other. It just doesn't work that way.
So here again, we have the media folded into the story, much like the Michael Cohen story and Lanny Davis as a source or not a source or sometimes a source. Or Meadows alleging, so the FBI feeds information to the press, then they use those articles, and we know this from the IG's report. They use those news articles as part of their rationale for the FISA warrant they obtained from a FISA court.
It's so corrupt. But who's the leaker from the FBI giving information to the media?
Well, I mean, we know Andy McCabe admitted to leaking, but that was supposedly at with the approval of Jim Comey, and Jim Comey says no. So
Comey gave some information to his old professor. Right?
So this den of thieves is sort of collapsing in on itself. It'd be fun to get them all in one room. One week of testimony with all of the entire cast of characters in this melodrama in one room, rather than, I guess this is better, after we've had them individually and they've run into conflicts with their cohorts, to be generous. Co-conspirators is another term you could use. Lindsey Graham was on Fox and Friends yesterday, talking a little bit about this in advance of Orr's testimony. And I remember Lindsey Graham, like Trey Gowdy, somebody that was deferential to Bob Mueller and the special counsel, getting less and less so.
Word of caution to the public. A lot of people have tried and convicted President Trump. Don't be so fast. I've seen no evidence of collusion after 2 years. Mueller's looking at it. We'll see what he says. Plenty of corruption in the Department of Justice and the FBI. Should be stunning. Not one Democrat seems to care. Reverse the roles.
What corruption? What do you mean?
Well, okay, just imagine if the Republican Party had hired a foreign agent to go to Russia to get dirt on Hillary Clinton, and they used it to get a warrant and never told the court about it. It'd be front page story everywhere. That's pretty corrupt when the two FBI agent and the U.S. attorney, the DOJ lawyer, it's our job to stop Trump. Can you imagine what would happen if it's our job to stop Clinton?
Thankfully, we don't have to imagine that.
If you're talking about it, Dan and Amy are talking about it. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Coming up next, a big win for progressives in Florida. A shocking election result. Ooh. But today, the first forecast, a couple of showers early this morning. There's going to be some clouds. It's going to be a lot cooler than we're used to. The heat and humidity is gone. A high today of 75 degrees. Tonight, clear, a low of 61. And for tomorrow, we're going to have partly sunny skies, pleasant, a high of 75. Let's get into the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Centaur. Here is Jim Telemonte.
Thanks, Amy. Thanks, Dan. Near northwest side, northbound Ashland remains closed. Augusta Division for a shooting investigation. Seeing roadwork delays on southbound 53 already. The Adams Tollway to Higgins. Northbound Tri-State heavy from the Reagan Tollway to the Eisenhower. Lakeshore Drive northbound at 47th, there's a crash, and there are roadwork delays from Jackson to Monroe. Eden Spur eastbound, construction delays. The Tri-State to Waukegan Road. Kennedy, 28 minutes, O'Hare to downtown, outbound 25. Eisenhower, now 48 minutes, 390 to downtown, outbound 35. Stevenson, 58 minutes already, 355 to the drive, outbound 52 with a crash at Harlem on the left side. Ryan, 28 minutes, 95 to downtown. I-57, 30 minutes, I-80 to the merge. Bishop Ford, 42 minutes. The jam starts at Sibley. I'm Jim Talamonte, the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center.
With the recent rainy weather, Permaseal is working hard to help homeowners across Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana, but they need your help. Permaseal is hiring in all departments, especially sales, customer service, and installation. They're looking for people with a great work ethic who have ambition, positive attitude, and want to learn new skills and have a desire to make the world a better, drier place. Does this sound like you? Then go to permaseal.net/careers to apply today. No experience is needed. Permaseal will teach you to become an expert in waterproofing and foundation repair. Their experienced team offers great training, year-round work, tremendous growth opportunities, and a great, fun work environment. To apply, simply go to permaseal.net/careers. And if you're looking for a career change or simply a dry basement, you know who to call. Permaseal, 800-421-SEAL. That's 800-421-7325, or go to permaseal.net.
The players are fired up. The coaches are prepared for battle. The student section is rumbling. The band is ready to rock. And you're ready for victory.
Touchdown, Northern Illinois!
Every game, every victory is right here on the Husky Sports Network.
Your NIU Huskies take on the Iowa Hawkeyes this Saturday afternoon at 2:30. Catch every minute of the action right here on AM 560. The Answer.
Hi, it's Amy Jacobson.
And Joe Walsh from MyPillow.
You're hearing from both of us because we've got two great MyPillow deals to tell you about.
And of course, because I'm the resident expert on the great night's sleep you're going to get with a MyPillow.
Is that why you sleep till noon every day, Joe?
Nice shot. Part of the reason. The other is because I'm not on the radio until the afternoon.
Lucky you. Well, I've got to get up early to do Chicago's Morning Answer, and I'm not sure I would get proper rest without MyPillow.
Hey, and I sleep even better with MyPillow because I added the MyPillow mattress topper to my bed. You got to get one. And when you buy the MyPillow mattress topper and use promo code Joe, you'll score 2 standard MyPillows for free.
For me, I love the MyPillow Go Anywhere pillow. So convenient. I suggest you use the promo code Amy. Buy one MyPillow and you'll get a second MyPillow plus 2 Go Anywhere MyPillows free.
Hey, either way, you're going to sleep like you never have before with MyPillow.
But definitely use promo code Amy.
Nah, Promo code Joe is the way better choice.
MyPillow.com. Promo code Amy.
Promo code Joe is way better, way better.
Are you stuck in a bad home mortgage? Well, join the club that has about 10 million other American families. But I may be able to help you. My name is Lou Bridges. I'm an attorney with the law firm of Lou Bridges and Associates. We've been helping distressed homeowners like you for over 8 years now. Give us a call. We provide free consultations. I guarantee you it will not be a sales pitch. We will give you our honest legal analysis, counsel, recommendations, and advice regarding your options.
We are experts in doing loan modifications successfully. We know the regs. We understand the process. Most importantly, we don't take no for an answer. We fight. We are prepared, and we win. We save houses. We make houses affordable. So if you want to keep your house affordable, contact us.
Go to bridgeslaw.net or call 224-513-1231. That's 224-513-1231.
Remember, people, never give up the land. Fight for truth and justice. You do that, I guarantee you'll never be alone in this country.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies in a capsule.
I've got ankylosing spondylitis, which is a arthritic disease, calcification of the major joints and spine, and I just don't have the pain that I used to have. It's really kind of amazing. Balance of Nature has been an amazing product. I've recommended it to literally hundreds. I'm a pastor, and I've said, y'all just try it. Give it a month. Give it a try. And so hopefully they have. But it's an amazing product, and the neatest thing is when you first open up that bottle, and you can smell the fruits and vegetables. Every time I open one, I just get a big kick out of that.
When you call, use discount code CHICAGO, and we'll take 35% off your first preferred set of fruits and veggies and have them shipped to you free. Call 800-246-8751. That's 1-800-246-8751, or go online to balanceofnature.com and use discount code CHICAGO.
AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. And a MAGA hat landed one 17-year-old high school senior in cuffs, Amy.
Oh, really?
This comes to us out Sacramento way in sunny California. Union Mine High School student is facing battery charges after an altercation in her classroom over a Donald Trump Make America Great Again hat. Cell phone video, of course, caught some of this because what is a high school classroom today without every kid having a cell phone to video anything that may transpire?
Because everybody wants to be a star on YouTube or on Instagram.
Here's what happened. The local CBS affiliate reporting on young Rachel Butler, not a Trump fan.
Video shows some of the tension inside this high school classroom. The teacher trying to subdue a fired-up 17-year-old senior, Joanne Butler, hurling curse words after she became enraged at a classmate for wearing a President Trump Make America Great Again hat and grabbed it off his head.
That's a racist and hateful symbol.
Joanne Butler is now facing 2 counts of battery, one against her classmate and another against her teacher, who deputies say she slapped as he escorted her out of the room. Butler says she made the scene to express her political beliefs.
Maybe just wake people up in some type of way, because it's not cool, the environment that our classroom is in.
Yeah, Joanne.
Little social justice warrior.
It's not cool. The environment in our classroom isn't right because you got snot-nosed 17-year-olds hitting people and slapping their teachers. You know what I mean, Joanne? About the environment in the classroom? You know, you got people that are intolerant of somebody expressing their viewpoint in clothing, and they can't restrain themselves. Creates for a hostile classroom environment. You know what I mean, Joanne? Here's Joanne's dad on the topic and the incident.
Wasn't handled the way I'd like it.
Her father is now facing the legal impact of his daughter's now alleged criminal act, centered on the political divide across the country.
Well, I don't agree with, grabbing someone's hat and verbally talking to them that way. But as far as the issue being brought up, that maybe this is something that needs to be not just...
Yeah, needs to be discussed.
What's he going to do to her at home?
Did not say. It's apparently he's not happy with the altercation, but he agrees with her perspective. I mean, one can
Well, that's when you have to step in as a parent and say, you know what, I know that you don't agree with your classmates politically, but Don't touch anybody. Keep your hands to yourself. It's real simple. Things you learn in kindergarten.
Or he could just not bail her out.
Oh, you keep her in?
She was arrested. Too bad. Exactly. He could tell the prosecutors to throw the book at her.
Or you'd be like, who's that girl? I don't know. She's my daughter? What? No, I don't know about her. Yeah.
Joanne Butler?
Play
No,
dumb?
different
No,
Butler.
never
Not
met her.
related.
Never met her. Yeah, but she should be kicked out of school. Don't you think? Or suspended?
Well, it did happen on school grounds. It would
Right.
be interesting to see what disciplinary action the
Oh, she'll
school
probably
takes.
be hailed a hero. She might even be prom queen or homecoming queen.
Now, part of this, irrespective of the hat, how about just the way people dress in public school? How about uniforms?
I loved you. We used to have uniforms at Blaine, and they got rid of them, and I died a little inside.
I mean,
it's
again,
a lot more money for the moms.
I
but
go back to this America to Me series that just launched about OPRF.
What were you seeing?
The first thing that strikes me is not the racial politics and all that nonsense, is the way the kids dress.
Really? What did you see? Like midriffs or?
No, it's not even that it was racy dressing. It's just slovenly. The kids are just dressed slovenly. Just
Tuck the shirt in.
Yeah.
Or, like low pants.
All the garish T-shirts and shorts and shorts. Like what is this? Honestly, there is a certain order that uniforms bring.
Was there a lot of yoga pants and activewear? Or more grunge?
No, not as much of that. I mean, again, it
I
wasn't.
think all high school students look scary. I mean, I've been high school shopping, and no matter where I went, they're just scary looking.
No,
And then getting your kids
they look-
tattoos at 17 is.
They look like hobos, except for does anybody use that word anymore? Except they have expensive headphones on, the Beats headphones.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's the accessory. That's the new
Yeah.
jewelry. I'm not kidding you. That's what they wear.
Otherwise, they look
Cool.
like they're ready to hop a freight train to the Pacific Northwest or something.
So is grunge back? Like plaid?
It's not
and all that?
grunge. It's just I don't know. It's just
Mike Scott
misfit
has
clothing.
You have high school age students, don't you? What do you let your kids wear to school? I mean, father of four.
I have 2 in college, 1 in high school, 1
All
in
right.
7th grade.
Well, what do they wear to school in high school?
What do they wear?
Yeah.
Oh, it
Do you make them
depends on-
dress up?
Yeah, we never allow them to look like crap when they go out of the house.
Wow, that's an aggressive.
Never.
But that's
no, absolutely not. No,
Hair comb, teeth brushed.
Peter will wear khakis and a button down to school.
Yeah, that's exactly that's how it should be.
Just it's kind of different, but that's just who he is. Never holes, never ratty shoes.
See, it's his style. It's his jam.
It should be there should be uniforms. I mean,
I don't disagree with that.
After watching the OPRF thing, and then and I'm not because this MAGA hat thing, because this this hysterical girl slapped a kid because she's wearing a MAGA hat. That's just stupid. But I mean, just hats, phones, all that stuff's gone.
I know
that stuff is no place.
How many people are on their phones? I mean, I went to DePaul Prep. They're doing everything on iPads. There's no more textbooks. They're on iPads, but then you can log on to other things. And everybody's on their phone, even between classes. People are listening to music in between. We couldn't do that. We couldn't get our Walkman out in between class and start listening to
Walkman?
music.
How old are you? Oh, my God.
At least I had a Discman. No, I didn't.
Holy cow.
Well, you didn't have you had a Walkman and a boombox.
No, I graduated before Walkmans. I'm just letting you know.
I had somebody who followed me around with a boombox playing my theme music.
That sounds just
I
like
used
what
to be with
you-
it, but then they changed what it was. Now what I'm with isn't it, and what's it seems weird and scary to me. It'll happen to you.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Have you checked your Google search results lately? Search results are usually the first impression that people form of you or your business, so make sure that they create a positive impression with ReputationDefender.com. What the internet says about you can have a big impact on your life and your livelihood, even if it's not true. Fortunately, you can now control how you look online and in online search results with ReputationDefender.com. Call 800-694-2640 now. That's 800-694-2640 for your free reputation analysis. If you have negative material from an ex-employee, upset patient, or former client, newspaper article, legal issue, social media, or other source showing up in your search results, you can combat it with ReputationDefender.com. Our dedicated experts in patented technology can help make your online search results look their best. Call 800-694-2640 to learn more. 800-694-2640. That's 800-694-2640. Or visit ReputationDefender.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Hey, make sure you get your tickets to join us for Freedom Summit 2018. It is coming up on Saturday, October 27th at the beautiful Westin Chicago Northwest in Itasca. It's an all-day event, and this year's keynote speakers include former Milwaukee County Sheriff David Clark. I'm sure he's going to wear his cowboy hat. And James O'Keefe from Project Veritas, and our own Mike Gallagher will be there along with us. Joe Walsh will be there as well. Tickets are selling quickly, so make sure you get yours at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Again, this event always sells out, so get your tickets today. And thanks to our sponsors, Precision Payroll of America, Automated Systems Incorporated, Joe Cotton Ford, Charles Energy Equipment Systems, Tom Mirabali, independent agent for Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois, and Chicagoland Waterproofing and HealthInsuranceMentors.com. Again, get your tickets for Freedom Summit Chicago by going to freedomsummitchicago.com.
And Freedom Summit Fest, Family Fun Time, whatever it is we call it, it's not going to be the same this year without our Fred London, who passed away a couple of weeks ago. I wanted to remark about that. Fred London. He's a cab driver and a great guy, interesting guy.
Yeah, he's a little quirky, but we enjoyed it. We went to Dominican Republic with him. And
yeah, he was part of our freedom vacation or whatever it is we call it.
It's called Passport to Paradise, but
we
we
went to
talk
Punta
about
Cana.
freedoms, yes.
Yeah.
And, great guy, and again, he passed away, so we...
Suddenly, he's only early 60s, I think, so it was sudden. So that's just one remark about Fred London. He was a big fan of the show and fan of the station, attended a lot of events, as Amy said, attended one of our trips as well, and just a nice guy.
Yep. Thanks, Fred London, for making our lives fun. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We're going to talk to Dr. Kurt Martins, a professor of canon law at Catholic University, about Pope Francis's future at 6:36.
But first, let's go into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
Rain showers, 70 degrees. We do see the rain beginning to drift south and east just a bit. It may clear out for the bulk of the morning rush. We'll keep our eyes on that. As President Trump is accusing China of hacking into Hillary Clinton's emails in 2016, accessing classified information. The claim was made in a late-night tweet and references a story published by the news website Daily Caller. Ron DeSantis is the Republican nominee for governor in Florida. In his victory speech after yesterday's Florida primary, DeSantis made a point of thanking the president.
And I was able to talk to the president. I want to thank him for his support. I want to thank him for entrusting me with viewing me as somebody who could be a great leader for Florida. So thank you, Mr. President.
DeSantis is looking to build on the success of Governor Rick Scott, who is term limited and running against Democrat Senator Bill Nelson in November. Arizona Republican Congresswoman Martha McSally is already talking tough against her opponent in the November election to replace retiring Republican Senator Jeff Flake. Reporter Mark Mayfield has more.
This is how I see this campaign. It's a choice between a doer and a talker, between a patriot and a protester.
McSally won Tuesday's primary in Arizona and will face Democratic Congresswoman Kyrsten Sinema in the November vote. McSally noted that while Sinema may be known for having more than 100 pairs of shoes, she had more than 100 combat missions as a fighter pilot. McSally also paid her respects to the late Senator John McCain. McSally says she's forever grateful that she had the opportunity to work with him.
Over 150 have been rounded up in an ICE raid at a trailer company in North Texas. Katrina Bergner is special agent in charge of ICE's Homeland Security Investigative Unit in Dallas.
Illegal aliens create an unfair advantage over their competing businesses. In addition, they take jobs away from U.S. citizens and legal residents, and they create an atmosphere poised for criminally exploiting their illegal workforce.
Customs officials reportedly targeted that company north of Dallas after receiving a tip that some of its employees were undocumented immigrants. California taking the payment of money out of its bail system. The governor has signed into law a bill that nearly eliminates paying money as a condition of release. There has been an effort to reform bail systems nationally because critics claim it's unfair to people who have little or no money. Heavy rain still causing problems in the Chicago area. Flash flood watch is in effect until about 7 a.m. No one in custody following a drive-by shooting last night that left 3 men wounded on the far south side. The death toll from Sunday's fire in Chicago's Little Village neighborhood is now at 10. Cook County Medical Examiner's Office says 14-year-old Adrian Hernandez died at the hospital yesterday. Illinois lawmakers this morning say they still do not have answers about the University of Illinois' latest proposal. Lawmakers grilled U of I leaders yesterday at a special hearing into the Discovery Partners Institute and the Illinois Innovation Network, but got little out of President Tim Killeen, who says it's not that there aren't any plans, it's just that they are not ready. Cubs and Mets resume play later today at noon after last night's game was suspended in the 10th because of rain. Neil Walker, a pinch hit bomb in the bottom of the ninth. Yankees rally to beat the White Sox 5-4 in the Bronx. The news service of Unbound.org. Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice. Continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. Change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at Unbound.org. 6:35 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dennis Prager lays out the conservative mindset.
My position and the position of every conservative I know is we don't care. You could be transgender, you could be cisgender, you could be brother gender, you could be anything you want. We only care about your values. We don't have a position on what you are. Conservatives have a position on what you stand for.
The Dennis Prager Show, weekdays at 11, right before Sean Hannity at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Papa Nicholas Coffee. Papa Nicholas Coffee, roasted fresh daily in Batavia, Illinois. The following is a paid political announcement.
Illinois property taxes punish the most vulnerable the most, like widow Mary Pay.
They just keep on going up and up. So that means my mortgage payment goes up, and it's kind of hard. What are they doing for us? Nothing.
66-year-old Chicago resident Linda J. had to take a second job just to pay her property taxes.
Mine is $7,000 a year. If I wasn't still working, I'd be screwed. Even at retirement age, I'm getting my Social Security, but I still have to work, and I'm working 2 jobs.
Rich, poor, Republican, Democrat, you will not be spared the financial disaster the highest property taxes in the nation inflict. The good news is there's a group of independent candidates who aren't financed by Madigan or Rauner. They're working people, taking up our fight to lower your property taxes. They made a life in Illinois, and the hell if they're going to let politicians take it away. Go to SaveYourHomeNow.org for information on the candidates leading the revolt. Go to SaveYourHomeNow.org to hear your neighbor's stories and share your own. SaveYourHomeNow.org isn't just a website, it's a battle cry.
Liberty Principles paid for this ad and is solely responsible for its content, not authorized by any candidate or candidate committee.
It is 6:37. Let's get an update on the roads in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. Here's Jim.
Thanks, Mike. A big jam on the outbound Kennedy from Demon to California. Crash in the 3 left lanes. Multiple vehicles involved. It's 42 minutes and rising from downtown to O'Hare. Inbound, we're looking at about 32 minutes from O'Hare to downtown. A little quicker in the express lanes. Eden's inbound. 5-minute delay starting at Niles Center. It's 24 minutes. Lake Cook to Montrose out on 23. The Spur has eastbound delays as well. On the inbound, Eisenhower. Delays start at Wolf Road. It's now an hour from 390 to downtown. Outbound, it's 45 minutes. Inbound Stevenson looking at 58 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, 48 to the Tri-State. Outbound 55 minutes to 355 after a crash in Harlem. Ryan, 28 minutes, 95th to downtown. I-57, 30-minute anxiety to the merge Bishop Ford 45. Northbound Tri-State. Heavy traffic in the area between the Reagan Tollway and Lawrence. Southbound 53 has construction delays before the Adams Tollway to Higgins. Traffic. Service of Applebee's. Back to school is a whole lot tastier when kids eat free at Applebee's. Monday through Thursday, now through August 30th. Get one kids meal free with each adult entree. Dine-in only, valid for kids 12 and under, ordering from the kids menu. Participating Applebee's locations only. Applebee's makes back to school taste better. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte, AM 560 The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the 1-hour heating and air conditioning weather center. Showers this morning beginning to move out of the area. Clouds will break around noontime, cooler in the afternoon with a high of 75. Currently 70. Next news coming up at 7. And Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Grow My Retirement with Bill Geiger of Geiger Wealth. Tune in Saturday afternoons at 2 for Grow My Retirement with Bill Geiger of Geiger Wealth.
Don't miss David Clark and James O'Keefe at Freedom Summit 2018. Get your tickets today at freedomsummitchicago.com.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy and Cardinal Supich. In the last 24 hours, sitting down with members of the Chicago Press Corps to respond to the allegations against Pope Francis in this 11-page letter that was penned by Vigano, who is a former nuncio, Vatican, part of the church's hierarchy for many years. A respected George Weigel, good piece about Vigano, Archbishop Vigano in First Things. First, Archbishop Vigano is a courageous reformer who was moved out of the Vatican by his immediate superiors because he was determined to confront financial corruption in the administration of the Vatican city-state. Second, Archbishop Vigano is, in my experience, an honest man. Third, Archbishop Vigano is a loyal churchman of a certain generation and formation bred to a genuine piety about the papacy. It's important to get somebody as respected in Catholic circles as Weigel to opine on Vigano because it's very interesting to see what's happening in the wake of his letter, and this against the backdrop of the Pennsylvania grand jury report, which is the press corps running interference for Pope Francis. Remarkable. Running interference with respect to an institution that did not properly, preemptively address the horrors that were occurring within it with respect to sex abuse. And I point to this Reuters piece yesterday. Defenders rally around the Pope. Fear conservatives are escalating the war against Pope Francis with respect to those calling him to step down.
Oh, please.
We disagree with Pope Francis, don't like his forays into topics of which he knows very little, labor economics, climate science. However, I wouldn't be saying he should resign over that.
No.
But people are saying he should resign over his apparent treatment of a known predator in Cardinal Theodore McCarrick as outlined in Vigano's testimony. That's a different thing. And it's not only the left-wing press that's rallying around Pope Francis, it's also the beneficiaries, again, according to Vigano's testimony, of McCarrick and Pope Francis, like our own cardinal here for the Chicago Archdiocese, Blaise Supich. Supich sitting down yesterday with NBC5's Marian Ahern, and listen to what he says about the allegations lodged against Francis.
The Pope has a bigger agenda. He's got to get on with other things of talking about the environment and protecting migrants and carrying on the work of the church. We're not going to go down a rabbit hole on this.
Oh, I mean, that is so offensive on a number of levels. His number one priority should be dealing with this issue and coming forward and say, look, we made a mistake. Because I want to know if he knew about what was going on and if he just is ignoring it or it was part of the cover-up. I mean, we have a right to know. And I'm not even Catholic, but I'm horrified for the victims.
I'm Catholic, and I am as well. And, oh, by the way, I mean, the rabbit hole of systemic sexual abuse that occurred in the church, it's a remarkable dismissal of something so existentially serious as this. And if Cardinal Supich, since he's full Alice in Wonderland on climate science like Pope Francis, you may want to check out Bjorn Lomborg's piece in the New York Post, today about actual scientists and what they found about the things over which you obsess, the rabbit holes you go down at the expense of the issues you should be confronting. And if you think that's bad, the first refuge of the scoundrel, we see it all the time in Chicago politics. What is it? Race hustling, race baiting. I've lost the debate. I don't want to confront the issue, so you know what I'm going to say? You're a racist.
Quite frankly, they also don't like him because he's a Latino.
Oh, so he's saying we Americans, Catholics, we don't like Pope Francis because he's a Latino?
He's saying conservatives, critics of Pope Francis, the real thing going on here is race-related. Because we don't subscribe to climate change theories that Supich and Francis subscribe to, and because Pope Francis is Argentinian. That's what's really going on here.
I don't even see when I look at Pope Francis. Nobody even knows. Nobody even cares.
The quality of the response from Supich should tell you, in my view, a lot about the veracity of what Archbishop Vigano had to say in his testimony. Those responses tell me, which I already believed, Vigano's telling the truth. For more on this topic, we're pleased to be joined by Dr. Kurt Martins. He's a professor of canon law at the Catholic University of America and also the editor of The Jurist. Dr. Martins, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Good morning.
Good morning. So what of these pieces coming out today? I mentioned the Reuters piece about fears that conservatives are escalating some war against Pope Francis. Matthew Schmitz in the New York Times writing about the possibility of a coming Catholic civil war. The treatment that the Vigano testimony is receiving and what you think the Church's response should be.
Well, that's a whole lot of, quite a number of questions that I need to answer right now. Let's stick to what is essential, and that is the abuse crisis and the care for the victims. Let's put that on the first place. What to think about all of this? I do think that we will need a thorough investigation, and we will have to look into the mechanisms that led to this cover-up that was found in the Pennsylvania grand jury report, but also the whole McCarrick case. Who knew what when? I think that is the big question. And Archbishop Vigano's testimony is, of course, an important and interesting letter. However, it raises also a number of questions, and I think it's a good starting point to look into what is going on. All the other things about being pro-Francis or against Francis are, I think, not relevant. We need to get to the truth of this matter, because this crisis, I think, in my humble opinion, is worse than 2002 because it's more a systemic crisis. We're looking at the exercise of power in the church. We're looking at how that power is controlled, and we're looking at ways of controlling that power, that exercise of ecclesiastical power by bishops in the first place. And I think this is a big challenge we are facing. But before we can solve that problem, we need to know first what happened. And that's why I said, with regard to McCarrick, we need to know who knew what and when.
Well, but it seems that you knew what and when. I mean, he had settlements with people in the seminary who he allegedly harassed, and I just don't understand why he was allowed to be in this position of power for so many years.
Well, your question is the same as mine. I don't understand that either. Apparently, there are reports out there that state that some people have informed the Holy See prior to his going to Washington, or later or not. We need to know about that. And more in particular, we need to know who was informed and why was it then that he could still go up the ranks.
Right. And so actually, I understand the kind of the statement of principle. We need to have serious questions provided,
Absolutely.
Serious answers. However, that necessarily includes Pope Francis. And so the discussion of Pope Francis, his handling what he knew, his future, to me, is completely relevant. And if they wanted to try and turn this into a political discussion or an ideological discussion, then we can have that too. We can confront that straight away. But Pope Francis's response that you've seen to the media, that you've seen the Vigano letter, and you can make up your own determinations. I'm not going to say a word about it. That doesn't wash. That's not acceptable. And he necessarily has to engage if we're going to get to the truth, doesn't he?
I do think so. I was highly surprised when I saw that answer. However, we all should not be surprised when Pope Francis answers questions these days, because he has his own typical style, which is different than the style from his predecessors. That being said, I do think we need some answers, and pretty quickly. If he believes that Vigano didn't tell the truth, he needs to say that. But we need to know what the role is of Pope Francis in this whole crisis. Do the people in Rome, including Pope Francis, get it? In other words, do they realize how serious the sexual abuse crisis is, and that do they realize, one of the reasons why I said it is a systemic crisis is, if we do not address this, then it's going to hurt the credibility of the church on other matters of importance, right to life issues, etc., for instance, to name just one. How can we speak credibly about that if we do not protect the most vulnerable that are entrusted to us? I think that is the key issue. And I think Pope Francis will have to give answers about his handling of cases. And he has a little bit of a stormy record when it comes to handling sexual abuse cases.
What's your response? You just heard Cardinal Cupich say, the conservatives don't like Pope Francis because he's a Latino. What do you think about him playing the race card as a way of running interference and taking, deflecting from the real situation here?
Well, who am I to judge? I think that that is not answering the question. I understand all those remarks, but quite frankly, we have to look at actions and at the content, and I don't think we should. I think we should have the answers to the questions and not deflect from the question.
Okay. All right. Well, that's an answer. Dr. Kurt Martins, professor of canon law at the Catholic University of America, also the editor of The Jurist. Dr. Martins, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
You're most welcome. Thanks.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Listen to Dan and Amy on your smartphone. Download the AM560 mobile app today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
I'm Lou Dobbs. Here's teaming up with Amazon to boost tire sales. Mississippi lawmakers approve a state lottery and Coca-Cola acquires Moxie. Those stories next.
I'm not a genius about money. I love my credit cards, and they love me. I was using them as a source of income, and then I got behind in my payments, and creditors were calling. I figured I had a problem, and I didn't know how to deal with it. I heard about Trinity, so I called and talked to a counselor. In half an hour, we worked out a plan. Now I've got one easy monthly payment, a lower interest rate, and I'm getting out of debt.
If you're in an endless cycle of paying on credit card balances that never seem to go away, then get ready for a toll-free number that will put you on a path to financial recovery. Trinity will consolidate your accounts, put a stop to late fees and over-limit charges, reduce your interest, and possibly improve your credit score. You'll save thousands. If your debt has you down, we should talk. Call 1-800-990-6976. That's 1-800-990-6976. Call 1-800-990-6976.
Sears set to report its second quarter results this week, but there's already good news to announce. The struggling retailer expanding its deal with Amazon that will allow it to ship to stores to install and balance tires. The news sent Sears shares up 18%. Despite longtime opposition in the heart of the Bible Belt, Mississippi lawmakers just passed a bill that would create a state lottery. Governor Phil Bryant has been pushing for a lottery to help pay for building new bridges and highways. The official state beverage of Maine has a new owner, Coca-Cola acquiring Moxie, a beverage that's been around since the 19th century. It's popular all over New England, and Coca-Cola hopes to roll it out nationwide. Please join me for Lou Dobbs tonight, 7 and 11 Eastern on the Fox Business Network. This is the Lou Dobbs Financial Report.
Coins and currency are full of history. Coins and currency are fun to look at. Coins and currency can be great investments and a great hobby, too. Here's your opportunity to see one of the largest coin shows in the nation, and it's free. Make plans now to attend the 59th Coin and Currency Show, presented by the Illinois Numismatic Association. The show is at Mega Center at the Pheasant Run Resort in St. Charles, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, September 20th through the 22nd. Admission and parking are free. Just bring your photo ID. Hundreds of dealers, the best from all over the country. See displays valued at millions of dollars, U.S. and world paper money, gold and silver bullion, and a lot more. This is a show for the whole family. Ask about the kids auction, collectors, investors, or if you just want to find out more about coins, currency, and collectibles, this show is a can't miss. The 59th Coin and Currency Show, presented by the Illinois Numismatic Association, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, September 20th through the 22nd at the Mega Center at Pheasant Run Resort in St. Charles. Admission and parking are free with your photo ID. Get more information at ilnaclub.org.
My name is Lauren Sullivan, and I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis 9 years ago, and I was severely disabled. And about 6 years ago, my mother had found Balance of Nature, so we decided to give it a try because at that point, nothing was helping. I was skeptical at first, but over time I realized I had more energy levels. I was sleeping better, which was huge, and my hair looked better, my skin looked better, my nails looked better, and then I was able to weed off some of those medications. And I know, had I not found Balance of Nature, I would not be living the quality of life that I am now.
When you call, use discount code CHICAGO, and we'll take 35% off your first preferred set of fruits and veggies and have them shipped to you free. Call 800-246-8751. That's 1-800-246-8751, or go online to balanceofnature.com and use discount code CHICAGO.
People have long associated the Ozinga name with concrete, but truth be told, Ozinga has always been on a quest to create a better world. We want to help you build your business so you can provide for your family, create better jobs, and build your community. It's why we constantly engineer better concrete, haul raw materials, and supply cleaner fuel. Together, we can positively impact the places where we live, work, and play throughout the Chicagoland area. To learn more, go to ozinga.com. That's OZINGA.com.
Chicago has long been a hub of architectural innovation, and the future of Chicago building isn't stopping anytime soon. At Ozinga, we believe it's important to continue pushing the boundaries of the construction industry, but it can't be accomplished alone. Let's build this city with ingenuity, sustainability, and with heart. But more importantly, let's build this city together.
This is Dan Proft with 60 Seconds of Sanity for Upstream-Ideas.com. It's that time of year again. Politicians on your TV screen and in your mailbox inundating you with promises they don't intend to keep, while under the influence of their misplaced faith and magical words, the kids head back to college to accrue debt they'll finance into their 40s. Comrade Bernie and the Socialists have re-released their siren song of tuition-free college. They'll make college debt disappear, much like Bernie's dutiful wife Jane made an entire college disappear. Of course, that debt will reappear in the form of increased government taking from you to finance schools your children didn't attend and pensions you won't receive. The Socialists are offering a free lunch with you on the menu. Make your own lunch. Not only should you send your kid to a school that promotes free markets, you should apply the fundamental tenet to the financing: work. One way is through income share agreements like Purdue University's Back a Boiler program, where a student's education is paid for up front and paid back through an agreed-upon percentage of his postgraduate income over a defined term. This aligns the interests and responsibilities of both the student and university. Both want the students to get good-paying jobs at companies or in sectors with upward mobility. Let's make financing a college education a teachable moment for the students and the politicians.
AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Take a couple calls in response to our discussion with Catholic University professor Kurt Martins about Supich's comments, Francis's comments, and the still failure to reckon with the sex abuse that occurred in the Catholic Church for so long. By the way, I mean, at some point we're going to have to talk about where this all began and how this metastasized. And that will necessarily include some difficult discussions because only 3% of the cases of abuse are pedophilic in nature.
Just 3%?
Most of them were post-pubescent men. So there's this other thing going on, predatory behavior that was allowed to metastasize. And it does have something to do with the political ideology that took hold in the church and the church hierarchy. John and Palatine, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hi, Dan and Amy. Thankfully, I didn't experience this, although I went to Catholic parochial schools on the south side. We just had our garden variety alcoholics. But
sure,
the way they're handling this situation, which is horrible, the way they're not dealing with it or addressing it is it just even proves that there's a cover-up occurring at the highest levels, and I don't know why justice isn't being meted out. If it were a police or a fireman or a teacher, there would be jail sentences and capital punishment.
Not in CPS. Thanks for the call, John. Pete in Montgomery.
Morning, Dan. Morning, Amy. So one of the other systemic problems here is it's a sexual event. And if I'm not mistaken, Catholic priests take a vow of celibacy. So why are we talking about priest predators or sexually active priests when they should have been defrocked and removed to begin with?
Great call. Great point, Pete. Thanks for that. That's where I was getting to, and we'll get to that more later. But coming up at 7:07, Jason Van Dyke speaks for the first time since the Laquan McDonald shooting. We'll get Kevin Graham, president of the FOP's reaction.
But first, let's go into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
Storm still causing problems around Chicagoland. WIND Chicago News Time, 7 o'clock.
He rode a White House wave. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Republican Congressman Ron DeSantis got the most out of his Trump endorsement, winning the GOP primary for governor by 20 points over Adam Putnam, and he's ready to call his Democratic opponent way too liberal. Andrew Gillum pulled off an upset far outspent by his Democratic rivals. The Tallahassee mayor won his primary after being backed by Bernie Sanders.
Folks ought to be able to work one job, not 2 or 3, but one full-time job as a way to make ends meet.
In Arizona, it'll be 2 women, both members of Congress, squaring off for a Senate seat. Fox's Jessica Rosenthal live in Phoenix.
Dave, an Air Force pilot turned Congresswoman, easily beat her Republican rivals in the primary to run for Republican Jeff Flake's Senate seat. Martha McSally was considered not conservative enough by some Republicans, but also seen as the only real shot they had beating the Democrat. McSally said she has been standing with President Trump this whole time as a Congresswoman.
To cut taxes for working families, create jobs, secure the border, honor our veterans, and when I'm in the Senate, I work with him to confirm judges who uphold the Constitution.
She will face Democratic Congresswoman Kyrsten Sinema, and Democrats have high hopes they can flip this seat. Sinema beats McSally in early polling done of that matchup, Dave.
Jessica, a hotel construction project turns deadly near Disney World. 6 stories up from the ground.
And around 4:30 this morning, that scaffolding gave way, and 2 of those construction workers plummeted to the ground. They were pronounced dead on scene. Miraculously, we're told that there was a 3rd construction worker on that scaffolding as well. We're told he was able to grab on and climb back to safety.
Dana J. with Fox 35 TV in Orlando. In Texas, a jury will continue to mull the sentence of a former police officer convicted of murder shooting a black teenager last year. Fox News, fair and balanced.
Gray skies, still some light rain showers crossing the area. 70 degrees at 7:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. Heavy rain caused some flooding problems around the Chicago area. That flash flood watch is expiring. The National Weather Service says those overnight storms felled trees in Kane County and in Geneva. ComEd says McHenry County has a few thousand in the dark this morning. Crews will be back out on Lake Michigan later today, searching for a kayaker who went missing in Lake Michigan near Highland Park. Sebastian Duncan disappeared in the water Monday night. A federal study shows people living near a contract sterilization company in Willowbrook face some of the country's highest cancer risks from toxic air pollution. Federal officials began investigating Sterigenics International last year after surrounding communities were identified on a national map of health hazards from breathing toxic chemicals. The Diocese of Gary has released a list of more than 10 former priests within the institution who had been found guilty of credible actions of sexual molestations of minors. The documents included the names of the priests. Many of them were laicized, which means the church removed their clerical status. Several of those former priests have already passed away. The death toll of Sunday's fire in Chicago's Little Village neighborhood is now 10. Cook County Medical Examiner's Office says 14-year-old Adrian Hernandez died at the hospital yesterday. Authorities call the deaths of a couple in Midlothian a murder-suicide. Cesar Orozco and Andrea Echeverria were found shot to death Monday morning inside of an apartment near 147th and Homan. And the Cubs are a step closer to creating their own television network. The current deals with WGN, NBC Sports Chicago, and other television stations run out after next season. After severing ties with NBC Sports Chicago, the Cubs may force others, the Bulls, the White Sox, and Blackhawks, to end their association with that group. Cubs and Mets resume play later today at noon after last night's game was suspended because of rain in the 10th inning, tied at 1. Yankees rally to beat the White Sox 5-4. The news is a service of Ashley Home Stores. Ashley Home Stores Labor Day sale starts now. For a limited time, save up to 35% or receive 0% interest for 6 years, no minimum purchase, only at America's #1 furniture and mattress sale. Shop and save today at Ashley Home Store. This is home. 7:05 on AM 560. It's time for a dry basement and a healthy home. Time to call Permaseal 800-421-SEAL. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Larry Elder informs the left of the GOP's message.
The absence of any message on the Republican side is remarkable.
Are you kidding me? Well, the message is pro-business, lessening the burden on the American taxpayer, securing the borders, making sure we have Supreme Court justices that follow the Constitution. That's the message. What's your message?
The Larry Elder Show. Weeknights at 7, right before Jay Sekulow at 9 on AM 560. The Answer.
It's the final days of the Ford Summer Sales Event. The last chance to find an incredible deal on the cars, trucks, and SUVs that make summer go right. Simply stop by a local Ford dealer or shop online at buyfordnow.com. Because the time to get behind the wheel of a new Ford during the Ford Summer Sales Event ends soon. And so do these amazing offers. The Ford Summer Sales Event is in its final days. That means it's the last chance to make summer go right with Ford, America's best-selling brand. Stop by your local Ford dealer and find great offers on many Ford cars, trucks, and SUVs. With leading driver assist technologies, it's easy to see why Ford is the brand more drivers buy and buy again. Look for yourself. But hurry, the Ford Summer Sales Event ends September 4th, 2018. To find out more, head to buyfordnow.com or stop by your local Ford dealer. Best-selling claim based on 2017 calendar year sales.
7:06. Let's get an update on the roads in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. Here's Jim.
Thanks, Mike. Near northwest side, northbound Ashland remains closed. Augusta Division for shooting investigation. Eastbound Eden-Spur has roadwork delays. The Tri-State to Waukegan Road, and it's 38 minutes like Cook to Montrose. Eden's outbound, it's 22. Kennedy inbound, an hour and 8 minutes O'Hare to downtown. 38 minutes from Montrose, 34 in the Express. Outbound, an hour and 10 minutes to O'Hare after a crash at California. Von Eisenhower, an hour and 2 minutes, 390 to downtown. 45 minutes to Manheim. Outbound, 48 minutes to 390. Stevenson, an hour and 4 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Outbound, an hour and 2 minutes. Ryan, 35 minutes, 95th to downtown. I-57, 34 minutes. I-80 to Archbishop Ford, 50. Southbound Lakeshore Drive. Delays are from Fullerton to North Avenue and Wacker to Monroe. Northbound 31st to 18th and Balbo to Monroe. Northbound Tri-State stop and go. Sibley to 31st from the Reagan Tollway to Lawrence. Adams Tollway from the Des Plaines Oasis to Tri-State. Northbound Veterans Memorial from I-55 to North Avenue. Southbound 53 Northwest Highway to Higgins. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte, AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast. From the 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning Weather Center, here's meteorologist Kevin Snyder.
After a couple of early showers, clouds give way to some sun today, high 75. Clear night tonight with a low 61. Tomorrow, partly sunny, high 75. And a clear night tomorrow night with a low again, 61. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
We still have gray skies. That flash flood advisory has expired. 69 officially at O'Hare. Next news at 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Watch today's show live right now on the Income Store live video stream at 560theanswer.com.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. So Jason Van Dyke, the former Chicago police officer who is about to stand trial for murdering Laquan McDonald, speaks for the first time since that fatal shooting.
Yeah, he sat down with a few reporters from the Chicago Tribune, and you know what you learn is that he prays every day for the McDonald's family. He says that he offers up a rosary every day. And that also, when asked, he said that he's worried the verdict could lead to riots, saying, quote, "I'm very scared for it. It's obviously weighs heavy upon my mind."
He also says, I'm quoting Jason Van Dyke, "I might be looking at the possibility of spending the rest of my life in prison for doing my job as I was trained as a Chicago police officer, being away from my family every day." He gets emotional, the Tribune reports. The Tribune also suggests that Van Dyke signaled what will likely be another key part of his defense, repeating several times that he had never before fired his gun while working mostly nights in Chicago's most dangerous neighborhoods during more than a dozen years on the force. Jason Van Dyke telling the Tribune, "Any loss of life was extremely difficult. It's something you try to mentally prepare yourself for just in case. You don't ever want to shoot your gun. It doesn't matter if it's to put down a stray animal or something like that. Nobody wants to shoot their gun. I never would have fired my gun if I didn't think my life was in jeopardy or another citizen's life was. It is something you have to live with forever." And he called that night the darkest day of his life.
Yeah, he said that he remembers coming home, quote, "I remember coming home and just sitting down in the shower until the water went cold, and even then I couldn't get out."
"Everyone wants to be part of the bandwagon of hatred," said Van Dyke. "Anyone who knows me personally, knows that I'm not a racist. That's a great false narrative. It's just slander." He talks about the political pressure. He says he still considers himself a great police officer during his 12 years on the job. Now, again, you have to look at this in context and be fair. Reverend Marvin Hunter, representing the McDonald family, McDonald's mother, Tina Hunter, said, "I don't know the man. Is he really praying, or is he just saying what he thinks you want to hear? They're trying to write a narrative. They're trying to influence the jury. I'm not mad or surprised because it's just legal maneuvers. If I were writing the script for him, I would have said exactly what he's saying." Right, so I don't pretend to know what's in Jason Van Dyke's head or heart. You can only go with what he said, but certainly the timing of it, shortly before his murder trial is scheduled to begin.
Yeah, jury selection begins next week already.
Right, so you do have to have a little bit of skepticism when it comes to this. Understand there is a legal strategy being employed. There's nothing wrong with that, but let's just not be Pollyannish about it, that's all. For a reaction to what Van Dyke had to say in advance of this trial, and we've talked about this with him before, but now it's here, we're pleased to be joined again by Kevin Graham, who's the president of the Chicago Fraternal Order of Police. Kevin, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
What do you think about what Van Dyke had to say and about his decision to grant the Tribune this interview with this timing?
Well, there's a couple things. First of all, they had done a jury study, and that 85% of Cook County residents had already made up their mind as to his guilt or innocence. So that's one of the reasons why I believe that this is coming out at this time. I think he has to get out some sort of statement so that people don't walk into that jury room with a preconceived notion. I heard you talking with Amy a little while ago about whether or not he's actually praying for the family. I can tell you on a personal note, because Jason does work at FOP, I have found him, I have seen him in this building praying. So if anybody believes that's not true, it certainly is. He certainly is religious. I can say that he personally is done his best to be a good Catholic, and I think that this does affect him very seriously. So people who are skeptical about that are flat out wrong.
He's told the Tribune, he said the Tribune, because they asked about the shooting, they wouldn't get into details. His attorney stopped it, but he said that under Illinois law, police officers can use any force necessary to defend themselves or another from bodily harm. Is that
from great bodily harm? Yes.
From great bodily harm. So, do you think that if they follow the letter of the law, that it will be on his side?
I think if they look at all the facts, they look at the totality of the circumstances and the law, I do think he'll be found not guilty. What has been missed in this is the fact that we were understaffed, both in patrol and in supervision. When a taser was called for, there wasn't one available. At what point does the city have to accept some of the responsibility for that occurred? I think Jason did do what he was trained to do. I think the explanation for the 16 shots is going to come out during the trial. I think he does have a good defense, and I believe that he will be found innocent, and I believe that people have to wait until the trial occurs and he gets his day in court.
Now, this is, 4 years old now, this case, and the Tribune does, in its story about the Van Dyke interview, recount some of the details from that night. There's been a lot of rumors about what may not have been reported yet, what may or may not come out at trial, and that may be additionally incendiary in an already tense environment in Chicago with respect to race relations and the populace versus the police and the political demagoguery and all of those factors. One of the rumors I would like you to address is this idea that there is chatter on the radio that the public has not been made aware of yet, something that Van Dyke may have said of a racial nature. Is there any truth to that? Do you know anything about that chatter? That's something that may come out at trial?
I know nothing about that. I would find that very skeptical.
Okay.
But certainly I've heard nothing. I know people would like to make this a racial incident, but it's not. It has to do with an individual who had a knife in his hand, refused to comply with the lawful orders of the police, and that's what happened.
And prior to that, though, didn't he slash the police car's tires and use the knife on a windshield?
Yes.
Yes, that is all true. And I think one of the things they may be talking about in terms of radio calls is what the initial call was, because I think that brings into light what occurs. Now, I have not heard it, and I'm not going to comment on what I believe it occurs, but my understanding is that it's very it supports the officer in the frame of mind in which he came to the call. So that might be what people are talking about, because it certainly was a dangerous situation. I do believe this is a very dangerous job. Police officers have to make split-second decisions. And nationwide, police officers shoot about 400 people a year across the country. Out of that 400, 61% of that 61% of those people that are shot by the police are male white.
Right. Yes. Inconvenient statistics for the political environment in Chicago, no question. A question about the other three officers, including Van Dyke's partner. They're also awaiting trial. People may have forgotten this for obstruction of justice and other charges. And if Van Dyke is found, if he's acquitted, the impact on the other three, do you see the charges against the other three officers as sort of fruit of the poisonous tree of a wrongful prosecution of Van Dyke?
I do. I think they're going to be found not guilty, whether it goes to trial or not. But if Jason is found not guilty, I would guess that the charges are going to be dropped against them as well, because I think that they will prove that the officers did not lie, and we're not trying to obstruct justice.
What allegedly did they do?
And I understand that, but that's why we try and do our best to get the right facts out as quickly as possible. Obviously, if additional evidence comes up later, then we take that into account. But I think people do their very best at giving accurate statements and accurate reports when these things occur.
Just switching gears, a more global conversation about violence in Chicago streets after all of the response to the violent weekend, the Lollapalooza weekend. And the violence, of course, hasn't subsided much since then, but you can only hold so many press conferences if you're the mayor, I suppose. I wonder, with the changes that were announced by Superintendent Johnson and the mayor after that weekend, more officers being deployed to the 4 districts where much of the violence is occurring. Those changes announced, have they translated to the streets? So what has been the actual substantive outcome of all of the press coverage of Lollapalooza weekend and the changes that the administration announced?
You know what? We haven't been studying those. We know that the shootings are less than that weekend, but whenever you have whether it's 75 or you have 30 shootings in a weekend, that's too many. We certainly want to be engaged with the city in trying to solve those problems. But as of right now, we're certainly trying our best to work on as many cases as possible. Right now, Jason is our focus this week, but I think that it's a little too late. I mean, the city should have come to us a long time ago to try and work out these problems.
Now, do you think if he's acquitted that there will be riots on the streets of Chicago?
No. I think part of the job of myself and other people, particularly politicians in this city, is they should look at the rule of law, and they should be backing up the police. Part of the problem that we have in the violence here is that people are not backing the police, and that's where they need to start changing their tune. They need to support the police, realizing that the police are doing a very difficult job, and that they should be supporting them, not trying to have more oversight on them, because that's going to lead to more crime. Because police officers are not going to want to go out there if every time they turn around they've got somebody watching over their shoulder and criticizing everything they do.
Right, like not using the right gender identity pronoun, which is a real problem in the city. But here's the thing, though, too. You know, on this topic of riots, depending on the verdict, you know, one of the things is just always remarkable to me is in Chicago, the quote unquote leadership, civilian political leadership, sort of concedes it. You know, when Eddie Johnson said most of the violence is contained in 4 districts, what does that mean? What is he, George Kennan? We're following a policy of containment with violence in the city of Chicago. And it's the same thing here. Oh, there's going to be riots. There's going to be riots. Where are the civilian political authorities saying, no, there's not going to be riots because the rule of law is going to be enforced regardless of the outcome, regardless of whether the verdict is a verdict you agree with or not. We're not doing L.A. redux. That's not going to happen. And just understand, people, Chicago families, that it won't be tolerated. It's almost like they kind of, let's hope for the best, because if this goes the wrong way, there's going to be riots. Like we're hapless and there's nothing we can do about it.
You're exactly right. The rule of law does need to be applied. We need to have law and order. I think the next whoever is going to be the next mayor of this city is going to have to realize that law and order is the only way that people are going to tolerate living in this city and their political leaders. There should not be riots. I'm expecting Jason to be acquitted. Other political leaders in this city should be standing up and saying there should never be a riot. This is a court of law, and he will have his day in court. And that they expect that people of the city of Chicago will adhere to a peaceful acceptance of whatever the verdict is.
All right.
Certainly nobody is saying that there's going to be a riot if he's found guilty. So I think that people who want to have a riot because if he's found not guilty are people that simply just don't want to obey the law and don't want to adhere to the rule of law.
Yeah, that's right. Actually, that you're right. The message should be either way. We're not going to have any celebratory violence, and we're not going to have any violence because you're disgruntled, you're upset with the verdict. We've seen it happen both ways in other cities. He's Kevin Graham. He's the president of the Chicago Fraternal Order of Police. Kevin, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
A glass of wine on the patio at day's end. Laughter from your teens and their friends gathered around the crackling fire of your new fire pit. This is the private oasis that AM Woodland Outdoor Design can create for you. Your outdoor space should be a reflection of your family's personality and a true extension of your home, not just a place to set your grill and furniture. A well-designed and constructed outdoor space can add significant value to your home and bring endless days of enjoyment. Spend more time together as a family, entertain friends, or just have a personal sanctuary to relax and de-stress. The expert team at AM Woodland Outdoor Design will guide you through every step of the process. They provide quality service with the utmost integrity and reliability every time.
AM Woodland Outdoor Design, proudly serving Lake, Cook, and Kenosha counties, helping make the communities they grew up in as beautiful as they can be. Visit amwoodland.com. That's amwoodland.com, or call 847-224-2167.
Hey, the school year is underway, and if your kids haven't started school yet, they will in the next few days, and maybe you're already feeling a little uneasy about your child's school or teacher this year. Public schools are changing, and if you aren't happy with what your son or daughter is learning in the classroom or on the playground or on the school bus, then maybe it's time to consider a private school. And private schools have never been more affordable thanks to our friends at halfpriceschools.com. It's easy. Go to halfpriceschools.com. They're offering tuition vouchers for a full year at half off the regular price. No catch. There's still availability, still vouchers for Christian Liberty Academy in Arlington Heights, Daystar School in the South Loop. The list goes on, but do not wait another day. School's going to start. And don't settle for a public school that isn't right for you and your child. Visit halfpriceschools.com. That's halfpriceschools.com.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-444-2013. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-444-2013. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-444-2013. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds, too. Call 800-444-2013. 800-444-2013.
Does your dog itch, scratch, stink, or shed like crazy? Come to Dynovite for help.
Order a 90-day supply of Dynovite.
Dynovite is nutrition.
Pick up 2 bottles of Lico Chops, get the 3rd bottle free.
New improved Lico Chops with omega-3, omega-6, vitamin E.
And now, 6 extra direct-fed microbials.
Even better for the digestive tract and immune system.
Try Liquid Chops. Buy 2, get 1 free.
At Dynovite.com.
DINOVITE.com.
The players are fired up. The coaches are prepared for battle. The student section is rumbling. The band is ready to rock. And you're ready for victory.
Touchdown, Northern Illinois!
Every game, every victory is right here on the Husky Sports Network.
Your NIU Huskies take on the Iowa Hawkeyes this Saturday afternoon at 2:30. Catch every minute of the action right here on AM 560, The Answer.
My name is Lauren Sullivan, and I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis 9 years ago, and I was severely disabled. And about 6 years ago, my mother had found Balance of Nature, so we decided to give it a try because at that point, nothing was helping. I was skeptical at first, but over time I realized I had more energy levels. I was sleeping better, which was huge, and my hair looked better, my skin looked better, my nails looked better, and then I was able to weed off some of those medications. And I know, had I not found Balance of Nature, I would not be living the quality of life that I am now.
When you call, use discount code CHICAGO, and we'll take 35% off your first preferred set of fruits and veggies and have them shipped to you free. Call 800-246-8751. That's 1-800-246-8751, or go online to balanceofnature.com and use discount code CHICAGO.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy take a couple calls in reaction to our interview with Chicago FOP President Kevin Graham as we're nearing the murder trial of former Chicago police officer Jason Van Dyke, who gave an interview in the Tribune this morning. Verlon on the South Side, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Now, I tried to give you all a break from my annoying voice, but this right here, you know, it got my fire burning again.
All right.
Listen, Dan, I will never call this man a racist. You know, I don't like you throwing the racist term around. I've always said it was blue versus black for all of these decades. I try to take each case by case, okay? Listen, I do believe he's praying, but I believe he's praying for Jesus to come save his sorry butt. 16 shots. That man was literally smoking on the ground from bullets riveted in his body, okay? There's no way this guy is going to beat this case. If he does, I'm sorry to tell you, you don't argue with the liberals on the weekends like I do. I listen to what they say. They're calling for this city to go up in flames, and I believe it's going to happen if this guy doesn't get convicted. Nobody's going to get past the fact that he used excessive force. 16 shots, Dan.
Yeah.
How many shots does it take to put him down?
Well, he was on PCP, Verlin, and from what I was told by one of my sources, that he kept shooting. His body was still moving. That's why he kept shooting, and his body was frolicking around and fidgeting because he was on PCP.
I love you, Amy, but once you're on the ground, after about 5th or 6th shot, after you're on the ground, there's no reason to keep on shooting him.
Well, would it be fine? Would it be justified if he shot him just twice instead of 16 times?
He could have shot him 6 times. But after you hit the ground, it's a done deal, Amy. It's a done deal.
There is the question, though, Verlin, of overcharging, and first-degree murder is the charge. So we'll see if the jury wants to go first-degree murder, premeditated, meaning he
got up that morning and decided.
I've always said they overcharge. I don't think first-degree murder, because you cannot prove that he woke up in the morning and said, I'm going out to kill somebody. That they can never prove.
Right. As far as we know, we don't know all the evidence that'll be presented, but that's what we know in terms of what's publicly available at this point. But appreciate it as always, Verlin. We don't find your voice annoying. We find it mellifluous. Please call again. Thanks, Verlin.
And that's the word of the day. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
We're going to talk to Steve Moore. Is new NAFTA making trading great again at 7:37?
But first, let's go into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
Shocker in Florida. 70 degrees, cloudy skies at 7:32. Andrew Gillum is the first African-American nominee for governor of Florida. Yesterday's biggest primary upset, the Tallahassee mayor, who has controversy swirling around him, narrowly defeated former Congresswoman Gwen Graham in yesterday's Democrat primary and talked to MSNBC this morning.
We had over 500,000 people come out yesterday and support the underdog candidate at a very, very grassroots level. I think my 4 opponents combined may have spent close to $90 million to our 6.
Gillum is a progressive endorsed by Bernie Sanders, wants a living wage and free health care. Ron DeSantis will be his opponent. He is the Republican nominee for governor in Florida.
I want to build off some of the success that we've had. I was able to talk to Governor Rick Scott tonight, and I want to thank him for his leadership, leading our state, focusing like no other governor has on jobs, jobs, jobs.
Republican Congresswoman Martha McSally is already talking tough against her opponent in the November election to replace Arizona Republican Senator Jeff Flake.
This is how I see this campaign. It's a choice between a doer and a talker, between a patriot and a protester.
McSally won yesterday's primary on the GOP side and will face Democrat Congresswoman Kyrsten Sinema. Plans are ready for Judge Brett Kavanaugh's nomination to replace retired U.S. Supreme Court Justice Anthony Kennedy. A hearing in the Senate Judiciary Committee will take place next Tuesday. A suspected mine floating in the water near Seattle has been blown up. Coast Guard swept into Port Orchard Bay to keep boats away from the large mine that was bobbing in the water. It was covered with rust and appeared to have been in the water for decades. Heavy rain still causing flooding problems in the Chicago area, and power is still out to a few thousand, says ComEd. Crews continue searching later today on Lake Michigan for a kayaker who went missing near Highland Park. No one is in custody following a drive-by shooting that left 3 men wounded on the far south side. A collision between a commuter train and a vehicle in northwest Indiana left 1 person dead and delayed train service yesterday along the South Shore line. Former President Barack Obama says he is pressing forward with plans to build a presidential center on Chicago's south side.
How do we make sure that this center, this museum, is a tribute to all the people and the forces in the community that helped to make this so special?
Obama on his first visit to Chicago since May. Several thousand are expected to file through the Charles Wright Museum of African American History again today, paying respects to Aretha Franklin. Long line of fans and mourners attended day 1 of visitation for the Queen of Soul.
I've loved her my entire life. I've been a fan from this high.
You can't be this close to history and not come out and show support.
The body will be moved to New Bethel Baptist Church tomorrow for day 3 of visitation, a funeral set for Friday. Cubs and Mets resume play at noon today after last night's game was suspended in the 10th because of rain. Yankees rallied to beat the White Sox 5-4. The news, a service of Unbound.org. Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice. Continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at Unbound.org. 7:35 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher calls out the never-Trumpers.
They are so crazed with their personal hatred of this man that they don't care what happens to the country. They don't care what happens in terms of policy. They don't care what happens in terms of anything that has been achieved in the nearly 2 years that Donald Trump's been president. They are unglued.
The Mike Gallagher Show. Weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 on your mobile device. Now available on iHeartRadio. Online at iHeartRadio.com.
Remember this promise from Barack Obama?
And if you already have health care, then we're going to reduce costs an average of $2,500 per family on premiums.
The truth is, premiums in the individual under 65 market have more than doubled since the ACA exchanges opened in 2014, especially for the millions of Americans who do not qualify for subsidies. If you're healthy and do not need coverage for pre-existing conditions, premiums are much lower in the non-ACA health insurance market. These policies will keep you consistently insured all year long, and they include a nationwide PPO. And there's no one better to help you navigate the Obamacare maze than C. Stephen Tucker. He's a 20-year licensed broker who I know and trust, who's been educating listeners for more than 6 years. Steve, how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Thanks, Dan. They can visit healthinsurancementors.com. That's healthinsurancementors.com. Or call me directly at 630-674-1551. That's 630-674-1551.
Sometimes when it rains, it pours right into your basement. This is Gus from Chicagoland Waterproofing. My mission is to identify why your home is taking on water and fix it. I want you to sleep at night during a rainstorm and not worry about your basement filling up with water. Like our client Kim from Mount Prospect.
We had chronic basement flooding and no one could figure out why. During a huge storm, water was pouring in through the window wells of our finished basement and we had to bail out 6 inches of water. We got a bunch of estimates, but Gus's was the most reasonable, plus he knew exactly what the problem was. He put in a full basement drain tile system and an additional sub pump with a backup battery. Chicagoland Waterproofing gave us peace of mind. I like to say, in Gus we trust.
From simple sump pumps to complex storm drainage and crack foundation solutions, Chicagoland Waterproofing's work comes with a lifetime warranty. Plus, a fully licensed plumber is always on staff. Request your estimate today at ChicagolandWaterproofingPros.com or call 847-296-3500.
7:38. Let's get a check on the roads in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center with Jim.
Thanks, Mike. Lakeshore Drive has major jams. Southbound Montrose to North Avenue and Wacker to Monroe. Northbound 31st most of the way to Monroe. It's heavy as well northbound. The Oak Street curve to North Avenue. Tri-State southbound, low 21 to Bradley and 2 to Irving Park. Northbound from Sibley all the way to 31st and from the Reagan to Lawrence. Veterans Memorial, stop and go southbound. Army Trail toll to 22nd. Northbound I-55 to the Reagan tollway and St. Charles to 290. Southbound 53 delays from Palatine to Higgins. Eden's 38 minutes, Lake Cook to Montrose. Kennedy, an hour and 24 minutes. O'Hare to downtown, outbound 56 minutes. Eisenhower, 58 minutes, 390 to downtown. Stevenson is an hour and 8 minutes, 355 to the drive. The Rhine, 50 minutes, 95 to the loop. Fishing an hour, 8094 to the Burns. Traffic service of Applebee's. Back to school is a whole lot tastier when kids eat free at Applebee's. Monday through Thursday, now through August 30th. Get one kids meal free with each adult entree. Dine-in only, valid for kids 12 and under, ordering from the kids menu. Participating Applebee's locations only. Applebee's makes back to school taste better. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte, AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast. From the 1-hour Heating and Air Conditioning Weather Center, a couple of showers early this morning. Clouds will break, cooler this afternoon, high near 75. 69 right now. Next news coming up at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Watch today's show live right now on the Income Store live video stream at 560theanswer.com.
I'm Sean from Elmwood Park. I'm in for Joe Walsh all week, if you can believe it. Tune in when freedom fights Fabian socialism at 5 p.m.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. And can we just, before we get into the particulars of new NAFTA or what's
USTMA? United States Mexican Trade Agreement.
It's elegant. It's really
USTMA.
elegant. Yeah. Or Trade Force, as Steve N88 calls it. This dissertation from Don Boudreau over at Cafe Hayek is really good, just in terms of making the philosophical case for free trade, just so we kind of set a foundation from which we should be building policy. Do you believe women should be unconditionally free to trade with men? Do you?
Yes.
Right. It's simple. Do you, or do you instead suppose that because some women's trade with men works and some such trade doesn't work, you're silly and ideologically intoxicated if you insist that women nevertheless should be unconditionally free to trade with men? He's bringing the debate down to the micro level, the individual level, because this is what some trade works and some trade doesn't. And he's essentially assailing that position. Boudreau writes, I believe Americans should be unconditionally free to trade with non-Americans for the same reason that you believe that women should be unconditionally free to trade with men, that brown-eyed people should be unconditionally free to trade with blue-eyed people, that Catholics should be unconditionally free to trade with Lutherans, and that people who live west of the Mississippi should be unconditionally free to trade with people who live east of the Mississippi. Because a person's political citizenship is as economically irrelevant as is a person's sex, eye color, and religion. It is no more than an extreme corner solution to endorse unconditional free trade among people with different passports than it is to endorse unconditional free trade among people with different chromosomes. Free trade. So, thinking about that, and through the eye of the consumer, as we're instructed by Bastiat and others properly, is this free trade, new NAFTA. NAFTA wasn't really free trade because it doesn't take 1,200 pages to write what Don Boudreaux wrote and to take that position as a country policy position. And so new NAFTA, at least the piece of it that's been negotiated with Mexico, 75% of a car has to be made in either the U.S. or Mexico to avoid tariffs. That's opposed to the previous 62.5%. Some 40 to 45% of that content has to be made by workers earning at least $16 an hour, which, of course, would shift some production back to the U.S., but it would also raise the price of cars for U.S. consumers, wouldn't it?
Yes, it would. And I don't want that.
So is this markedly different than the deal that President Trump said was a scam that he inherited, that was a terrible deal? Is this just a gradation of the same? For more on this topic, we're pleased to be joined by our friend Steve Moore, Wall Street Journal columnist, chief economist for CNN. Steve, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hi, guys. Good morning.
Good morning. So Canada's come to town to discuss what the U.S. and Mexico have agreed to in principle. But what about my overarching question? What U.S. and Mexico agreed to in principle, is this markedly different than NAFTA? How is this so much a better deal than the previous regime under which we were operating?
I'm going to give that a big no comment.
Okay. Okay. There you go. That's an answer. Yeah.
No, but really, I mean, it is kind of interesting. I watched the president's press conference when this was announced, and by the way, for those who watched it, it was kind of interesting because the Mexican president was, was on the telescreen, and I mean, Trump was acting like, if he had been there in person, I think Trump would have slapped him with a big wet kiss.
Yeah.
But look, this is not substantially different from NAFTA. That's the answer to the question, and so we have replaced the worst trade deal in the history of civilization with something that looks a lot like what we had before, but dare not call it NAFTA. Trump has declared that we're not going to call this NAFTA anymore. We're going to call it the U.S.-Mexico bilateral trade deal, which is much, much better than what we had before, although it's not that much different from what we had before.
Much.
But look, you're bearing the lead here, guys. I mean, this is good news that we've got this trade deal with Mexico, because number one, it means we need to have trade with Mexico for all the reasons you just said, and also it helps stabilize the Mexican economy. We don't want Mexico to go the way of Venezuela for sure. If you think we got a border problem now, wait till they go to the left, but I don't think they're going to. But also this tightens. The other thing that's really interesting about this, if you had asked me 6 months ago, Nanny, are we going to get a trade deal with Mexico before we get one with China? I mean, with Canada? I would have said, no way. And yet that's where we are. And this tightens the screws on Canada. I think Canada is now going to have to come hat in hand and make a deal with Trump because they don't want to be that odd man out here.
Well, what do the Canadians want from us?
Well, the Canadians, I've talked to Bob Lighthizer, who is the U.S. trade rep, and look, they have elected a pretty left-wing government with Trudeau, and their their Canadian trade rep is a woman, Christine Freeland. I used to debate her all the time on CNBC. She's a pretty dedicated left-winger. So they keep bringing up issues like they don't think that our state should have right-to-work laws because those violate the NAFTA agreement, and she wants to talk about transgender bathrooms, and she wants to talk about climate change and things that are completely irrelevant to free trade between two countries. And that's been a problem. The other problem, Amy, is that let's face it, Trudeau and Trump are not exactly bosom buddies. Mm-hmm. And that makes it real. I mean, there's a personality conflict between the two, and that's complicated things. But the other thing Trump brought up in the press conference that he had a couple days ago, he said, Canada has these high tariffs on American agriculture, and in many cases he's right. So we got to bring those down.
Yeah, or you're going to get hit with a 25% tariff on your cars, is what he essentially intimated.
So how is
look, I don't like that. Let me be very clear. Yes. They just wrote a study on this. I think auto tariffs are a really bad idea. For one thing, they don't even really protect American jobs because so many of the cars that we build in the United States are built with foreign, auto parts and so on. And so this would make the manufacturing cars in the United States more expensive and make them less competitive. We could actually end up losing more jobs, Dan, with these auto tariffs than we would gain.
So is this deal making your buddy Larry Kudlow pull out what remaining hair he has?
Look, Larry's at the center of a lot of this, although he's not. I mean, I think Lighthizer is the most important one because he actually understands this trade law. And you're right. When you mentioned how many pages was NAFTA, something like 1,200 pages.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got to be a lawyer with 14 degrees to understand this stuff. I mean, these trade laws are extremely complicated. And you're right. Why does that? If we're going to have free trade, why does that require 1,000 pages of rules and regulations and legalese that nobody can understand? So, but look, Larry has been a very healthy influence. Our goal is to get Trump to zero tariff with some of these countries. And I think we're actually at the end of the day. Yes. I think we're actually going to have freer trade than we did before. It's just Trump is forcing these other countries to lower their tariffs against us, and I'm all for that.
Well, how will this agreement with Mexico benefit farmers? Because President Trump was saying, I told him I'd help them out. How is this helping them out?
Well, they've agreed in principle in a handshake that the Mexicans are going to buy more U.S. soybeans and wheat and cotton and corn and things of that nature. Now, whether they follow through with that promise, we will see. But they've also promised to lower a bit their tariffs. Look, even with NAFTA, they didn't. There were still tariffs, and so this lowers those tariffs a bit, and we'll see what kind of a difference that makes.
I wanted to get your reaction to this because I know this is a particular topic of interest to you. It is to me, and it doesn't get the attention it deserves, which is why I'm appreciative that the Wall Street Journal opined on it. Can you explain to me and Amy and our audience why it is that Democrats don't want minorities to start their own businesses? And, of course, I'm referring to Democrat Governor of New Jersey, Phil Murphy, who vetoed legislation that would have removed licensing rules for hair braiders in New Jersey, licensing rules that require hair braiders to complete 1,200 hours of training that can cost up to $17,000 to become a braider.
Dan,
yeah.
Come on, Dan. You don't want amateurs doing hair braiding here. Come on. But what are you talking about?
Right, at least
need 1,200 hours.
No question. Now, by comparison, the minimum requirement to take the check ride to be a licensed private pilot, 40 hours, 1,200 hours to be a hair braider.
Yeah, my hero, of course, as you know, Dan and Amy, was the great Milton Friedman from Chicago. And Milton Friedman, in his great book, if people want a good last-minute summer read his great book that was written in the 1950s called Capitalism and Freedom. Mm-hmm. And here's an extreme position. Milton Friedman didn't even think you needed a medical degree to practice medicine. So, if you don't need a medical degree to do practice medicine, do you really need a degree to do basket weaving or hair, the hair styling and all of these other things? This has become a big issue in a lot of states and a lot of cities, and the Wall Street Journal had it right. The people who are victimized by these occupational licensing requirements are minorities who are more likely to go into these positions. And what is the purpose of those licensing agreements? It's not to protect the consumers. You know that, Amy, you know that. The reason that they have these licensing requirements is to keep people out of the industry, to reduce competition and increase the cost. And, now we have this, by the way. Is there any movement in Chicago? Because there's a big movement in New York and in Washington, D.C. to restrict Uber and Lyft drivers.
Yeah.
And that's because the taxi cab industry and the public transit agencies don't want people using Lyft and Uber. They want them, using the licensing. And so this is anti-freedom. It's anti-growth. And let's make a crusade to get rid of these crazy licensing agreements.
He is Steve Moore, Wall Street Journal columnist, chief economist for CNN. Steve, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Have a great week.
You too.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Connect with Dan and Amy using the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Looking to refinance your existing home? Then you need to call Team Hochberg. Bill's family was cruising until he loaded $50,000 on his credit cards to cover expenses after his income was cut in half. Stressed out and living paycheck to paycheck, Bill called Team Hochberg for a free consultation. We consolidated Bill's credit cards into a 30-year fixed loan, credited all his closing costs, and reduced his payments over $1,400 a month. Bill was stressed out before calling and saved over $16,000 a year after calling Team Hochberg. If you're tired of living paycheck to paycheck like Bill and would like to see if refinance can lower your monthly payment, call Team Hochberg now at 312-751-1333 or visit am560david.com. Team Hochberg has helped thousands of AM560 listeners, but we can't help if you don't call 312-751-1333 or visit am560david.com.
Pearl Mortgage, an equal housing lender, Illinois residential mortgage licensee 4358 and MLS 19186.
Hi, Barry Sterner, owner of Townstone Financial. I could talk to you all day about how I feel about Townstone's service, low closing costs, and great rates. But how about listening to one of our customers?
My name's Elisa French. We've had such good experience with Townstone Financial and specifically Barry Sterner that when my mom was looking to move to Chicago, the first thing I said to her was, she had to call Townstone and got in touch with Barry Sterner, which again, amazing relationship. My sisters, when I am able to ask a question, and I have many questions when it comes to this, he really almost holds my hand with his knowledge and explains in such an easy way, and it makes me feel comfortable. So it's easy for me to recommend him.
Remember, nobody values your business more than Townstone Financial, and I'm always available to answer your questions. Call me now, Barry Sterner, 312-896-2111. That's 312-896-2111, or go to townstone.com. That's TOWNSTONE.com.
Townstone Financials, Indiana, Michigan, Wisconsin, Florida, Illinois mortgage licensee 6629 and NMLS 136639. Equal housing lender.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies in a capsule. Thousands of doctors, health specialists, and professionals recommend Balance of Nature as a way of improving their health. Listen to a few unsolicited success stories from doctors that use Balance of Nature as well.
Scientific research has shown that many cancers and lifestyle diseases can be prevented with a diet rich in fruits and vegetables. This prevention comes from the phytochemicals in the plants. I take Balance of Nature because I know, I've seen it in my lab, and I know that it works. I've seen the immune response increase, I've seen your DNA repair capacity increase, and I've seen DNA protection. And that, to me, as a scientist, rings so true.
When you call, use discount code CHICAGO, and we'll take 35% off your first month's order and ship it to you free. Call 800-246-8751. That's 1-800-246-8751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com and use discount code CHICAGO.
This is Dan Proft with 60 Seconds of Sanity for upstream-ideas.com. It's that time of year again. Politicians on your TV screen and in your mailbox inundating you with promises they don't intend to keep, while under the influence of their misplaced faith and magical words, the kids head back to college to accrue debt they'll finance into their 40s. Comrade Bernie and the Socialists have re-released their siren song of tuition-free college. They'll make college debt disappear, much like Bernie's dutiful wife Jane made an entire college disappear. Of course, that debt will reappear in the form of increased government taking from you to finance schools your children didn't attend and pensions you won't receive. The Socialists are offering a free lunch with you on the menu. Make your own lunch. Not only should you send your kid to a school that promotes free markets, you should apply the fundamental tenet to the financing: work. One way is through income share agreements like Purdue University's Back a Boiler program, where a student's education is paid for up front and paid back through an agreed-upon percentage of his postgraduate income over a defined term. This aligns the interests and responsibilities of both the student and university. Both want the students to get good-paying jobs at companies or in sectors with upward mobility. Let's make financing a college education a teachable moment for the students and the politicians.
The following is a paid political announcement.
We need strong borders to keep America safe. That's why President Trump is fighting to build the wall. But Senator Joe Donnelly's votes would have made us less safe. In Congress, Donnelly claimed he was, quote, 100% opposed to amnesty, but then he changed his position. In the Senate, Donnelly joined liberals like Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders and voted to give amnesty to millions of illegal immigrants, even illegal immigrants who had committed serious crimes, including domestic violence and child abuse. Donnelly told us he was against amnesty, but then he voted for amnesty. Call Senator Donnelly at 202-224-4814. Tell him to fight for full border security funding in S3109, Department of Homeland Security Appropriations Act 2019. Amnesty won't keep America safe. Fully securing our border will. Paid for by One Nation. www.onenationamerica.org.
If you're paying too much for your health insurance, listen carefully. Due to recent changes in the law, you could be overpaying $500 or more per month on your health care. There are new, more affordable health care options with better coverage. These plans are exempt from the Affordable Care Act and now open to everyone. Health care options with better benefits costing 30 to 60% less than Obamacare plans and giving you the freedom to see almost any doctor or hospital in the country. Forbes calls this the health care plan that is saving families $20,000 a year. And over 1 million Americans have already taken advantage of this game-changing healthcare program. Call 800-239-7174 now to find out how much you'll save. Employers, you too can save 50% or more on group medical insurance with health sharing. Our licensed advisors can take away all the stress of finding the right plan for your needs and budget. Best of all, our service is free. This one call could be the best decision you make this year, so don't delay. Call now to see how much you can save. For your free quote, call 800-239-7174. That's 800-239-7174. 800-239-7174.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Larry Nora, founder and CEO of U-Store It, a network of award-winning self-storage facilities in the Chicago area, and a customer of Signature Bank. We've developed over 70 storage centers throughout the city and suburbs, and our business continues to grow. We need a bank who understands the neighborhoods and communities where we are making investments. We found that in Signature Bank. They know this city and its neighborhoods because they are based right here in Chicago. Finding a local banking institution like Signature Bank has been critical to the success of U-Store It, and we look forward to a long-term relationship.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, headless corpse found in fish tank in the hope of missing San Francisco man.
How did the fish live? No, the tank was empty except for the body parts.
Brian Egg's corpse swims with Luca Brasi.
You shouldn't laugh.
What do you call a headless torso in a fish tank?
What?
Bob.
Oh.
Thanks very much.
Don't you dare get me in trouble again.
Brian Egg's corpse also, or torso, I should, also considering a run for Congress in San Francisco. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer, some breaking news regarding Pope Francis and a crowd's reaction. But first, into the newsroom we go. Here's Mike Scott.
Storm still causing problems, and a 10th child dies. WIND Chicago News Time 8.
A failed socialist mayor. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That's what President Trump calls the Democrat who won his primary for governor in Florida.
This thing is not about me.
Andrew Gillum's Tallahassee's mayor. He beat his rivals who far outspent him, but the president wrote he's a dream of an opponent for Republican Congressman Ron DeSantis. Fox's Evan Brown live in Miami.
Now, Dave, Andrew Gillum, backed by Bernie Sanders, beat out 6 other Democrats for the party's nomination for governor. Ron DeSantis, the Republican nominee, barely campaigned in person, relying on President Trump's endorsement, and beat out a well-known Florida conservative who spent millions. Outgoing GOP Governor Rick Scott is now nominated to take on Democratic incumbent U.S. Senator Bill Nelson. And in Broward County, Florida, where Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School is, Lori Alhadeff, whose daughter was killed in the mass shooting this year, is now elected to the school board and promises to fight for campus security, Dave.
But in Arizona, Republican voters chose a fighter pilot turned congresswoman to be their nominee for Senate. Martha McSally easily won a 3-way race.
My opponent is someone who is left of the Pelosi Democrats, who is a Green Party activist.
She's talking about Democratic Congresswoman Kirsten Sinema, who's trying to flip what had been a red Senate seat blue. Also in Arizona, people will say goodbye to John McCain on what would have been his 82nd birthday.
The late Senator John McCain will lie in state at the Arizona State House. His wife Cindy and family will attend a private ceremony. Afterward, the public is invited to attend. Tomorrow, the life and legacy of the senator will be celebrated at the North Phoenix Baptist Church.
That's Fox's Alicia Cunha in Phoenix. President Trump's taking a shot at the media again, tweeting, "When you see anonymous source, stop reading the story. It's fiction," claiming many of those sources are made up. The economy was a bit stronger in the spring than first reported. The government's revised second quarter GDP growth up slightly from 4.1 to 4.2%, the most in 4 years. Fox News, fair and balanced.
Gray skies, 69 degrees at 8:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. The Diocese of Gary has released a list of 10 former priests within the institution who have been found guilty of credible actions of sexual molestation of minors. The document included the names of those priests. Many were laicized, which means the church removed their clerical status years ago. Several of those former priests have also passed away. The death toll from Sunday's fire in Chicago's Little Village neighborhood is now 10. Cook County ME's office says 14-year-old Adrian Hernandez died yesterday at the hospital. The family of Stephen Rosenthal is still refuting claims by authorities that the teen shot and killed himself during a police chase earlier this month. Speaking yesterday, family attorney Andrew Stroth says police body cam video of the moments before and after the shooting were, in his opinion, inconclusive.
It doesn't show the shooting. It shows Stephen going up the stairs. It shows officers coming after him. And then you don't see anything until you see Stephen dead on the upstairs landing.
The Cook County ME's office had ruled Rosenthal's death a suicide. Former President Barack Obama pressing forward with plans to build his presidential center on Chicago's South Side.
How do we make sure that this center, this museum, is a tribute to all the people and the forces in the community that helped to make this so special?
He told the audience he's committed to building his sprawling campus in Jackson Park in spite of recent complications. Cubs and Mets will resume play at noon today after last night's game was suspended in the 10th inning with the score tied at 1. Yankees rallied to beat the White Sox 5-4, 8:03. It's time for the AM 560 Business Beat. And from the Fox Business Network, here's Ginny Casola.
From the Fox Business Network, Facebook says it wants to reduce its greenhouse gas emissions by 75% by the end of 2020. Facebook had a goal of receiving half its power supplied from renewable energy sources by this year, but it already met that goal last year. Fewer people were applying for a mortgage last week, even though rates were more affordable. The Mortgage Bankers Association says the number of total applications decreased 1.7%. Both refinancing and new mortgage applications declined. The average interest rate for a 30-year fixed-rate mortgage declined from 4.81% to 4.78%. Aston Martin, best known for making cars for the 60s James Bond movies with Sean Connery, is going public. You'll be able to buy stock in Aston Martin on the London Stock Exchange. With the Fox Business Report, I'm Ginny Cosola.
8:05, a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Don't miss Freedom Summit 2018, coming to the Chicago West and Northwest in Itasca on Saturday, October 27th. This year, featuring headline speakers, former Milwaukee County Sheriff David Clark and James O'Keefe from Project Veritas. Also appearing, AM 560's Mike Gallagher, Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson, and Joe Walsh. Get your tickets today at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Sponsored in part by Precision Payroll of America, Automated Systems Incorporated, and by Joe Cotton Ford in Carroll Stream.
It's the final days of the Ford Summer Sales Event. The last chance to find an incredible deal on the cars, trucks, and SUVs that make summer go right. Simply stop by a local Ford dealer or shop online at buyfordnow.com. Because the time to get behind the wheel of a new Ford during the Ford Summer Sales Event ends soon. And so do these amazing offers. The Ford Summer Sales Event is in its final days. That means it's the last chance to make summer go right with Ford, America's best-selling brand. Stop by your local Ford dealer and find great offers on many Ford cars, trucks, and SUVs. With leading driver assist technologies, it's easy to see why Ford is the brand more drivers buy and buy again. Look for yourself. But hurry, the Ford Summer Sales Event ends September 4th, 2018. To find out more, head to buyfordnow.com or stop by your local Ford dealer. Best-selling claim based on 2017 calendar year sales.
It is 8:06 and a check of your roads in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. Here's Jim.
Thanks, Mike. Kennedy inbound delays start at Austin.
Hour and 22 minutes O'Hare to downtown. 57 minutes from Montrose. 54 in the Express. Outbound 54 to the airport. The Eden's 27 minutes. Lake Hook Junction outbound 33, but the spur has delays. Eisenhower, an hour and 5 minutes. 390 to the Circle. 45 minutes from Manheim. Outbound 48 to 390. Stevenson, an hour and 6 minutes. 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Outbound 56 minutes. Ride 40 minutes. 95th to downtown. Outbound 25. Lakeshore Drive has massive delays both ways. Southbound Tri-State slow 21 to Bradley and 2 to Irving Park. Northbound Sibley to 31st. And from the Reagan Toll at Lawrence, northbound Veterans Memorial, it's heavy. I-55 to the Reagan Tollway in St. Charles to 290. Southbound from the Army Trail Toll to 22nd. Traffic service of Applebee's. Back to school. It's a whole lot tastier when kids eat free at Applebee's. Monday through Thursday, now through August 30th. Get one kids meal free with each adult entree. Dine-in only. Valid for kids 12 and under ordering from the kids menu. Participating Applebee's locations only. Applebee's makes back to school taste better. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast. From the 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning Weather Center, here's meteorologist Kevin Snyder.
Turning out to be a cooler day today as clouds give way to some sun, high 75. Clear night, low 61. Tomorrow, partly sunny, high 75 and a clear night, low 61. Then Friday, clouds and sun, high 82. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
Currently 69, gray skies. Next news, 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Watch today's show live right now on the Income Store live video stream at 560theanswer.com.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy, and of course after Labor Day we've got the Brett Kavanaugh confirmation hearings to the Supreme Court. We also have a September 5th Senate Intelligence Committee hearing on social media and Russian meddling, at which Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey, Facebook's COO Sheryl Sandberg are planning to testify. Not Google's Sundar Pichai, though, who's the billionaire CEO of Google now, tabbed by Sergey and Larry over there at Google, to run that company. Now that Eric Schmidt's over at Alphabet and the whole thing.
Oh, my gosh.
But
my head spin.
Well, it is. There's a lot of head spinning there. And what's making President Trump's head spin is the allegation that Google, in addition to these other big online media companies, are whitewashing conservatives, are cooking the search engines for negative stories about President Trump.
Right. He accuses Google of rigging the searches and the results against him. He called it a serious situation that will be addressed. And he said in a tweet that the tech giant's search engine had rigged news stories results to show mostly bad stories about him and other conservatives. So he was, talking about himself, but also defending conservatives.
I think Google is really taking advantage of a lot of people, and I think that's a very serious thing, and it's a very serious charge. So I think that Google and Twitter and Facebook, they're really treading on very, very troubled territory, and they have to be careful.
They have to be careful. A shot across the bow from the president, Larry Kudlow, one of his chief economic advisors, was asked about that yesterday as well. Here's what Larry had to say.
What are you looking into specifically?
We're just do some investigation and some analysis. That's what we do.
Is there any evidence that they actually are censoring anyone's search results?
We're looking into it.
Looking into it. There is some evidence that has been called together. A media research center released a study, how online media companies are suppressing conservative speech. This you can find at newsbusters.org. They talk about some of what we've seen before and what we've reported on this show, like Project Veritas's undercover interviews with various engineers at Twitter. You just had Jack Dorsey, the CEO of Twitter, say the other week that, yes, I can see that most of our employees lean left. Yes, grand admission. But they go through, does Media Research Center, the fact liberal Twitter advisors outnumber conservatives 12-1. 12 of the 25 U.S. members of Twitter's Trust and Safety Council, that doesn't sound too Orwellian,
Trust and Safety Council,
which helps guide its policies, are liberal. Only one's a conservative. Anti-conservative groups like GLAAD, gay rights organization, Anti-Defamation League are part of the board. There is no well-known conservative group represented. Tech companies rely on anti-conservative fact checkers. Facebook and Google both had partnered with fact-checking organizations in order to combat quote-unquote fake news. Facebook's short-lived disputed Flagger program had allowed Snopes and PolitiFact and ABC News to discern what is and is not real news. Google's fact-checkers accused conservative sources of making claims that did not appear in their articles and disproportionately fact-check conservative sources. So they have some recommendations for tech companies, sort of in the line of free market solutions. So very much like the suit that Prager University has filed against YouTube and Google, by extension, its parent company. Contract dispute. Because remember, there's no First Amendment right to tweet or to use a private communication channel like Twitter or Facebook. This is not a First Amendment issue. You could say, and you could make the case, that they're violating their terms of use agreements with their customers. That's a different story. You could have a legitimate contract dispute there. Also, just in terms of more evidence before we get to the pertinent question, Paula Bolyard over at PJ Media did a little experiment. It performed a Google search for Trump using the search engine's news tab and analyzed the results using Cheryl Atkinson's media bias chart of media organizations. Cheryl Atkinson, the investigative reporter we talk to frequently.
Yes.
Bolyard reports, I expected to see some skewing of the results based on my experience with Google, but I was not prepared for the blatant prioritization of left-leaning and anti-Trump media outlets. Looking at the first page of search results, I discovered CNN was the big winner, scoring 2 of the first 10 results. Other left-leaning sites that appeared on the first page were CBS, The Atlantic, CNBC, The New Yorker, Politico, Reuters, and USA Today. Not a single right-leaning site appeared on the first page of search results. So is that just a matter of the respective traffic, or is that a matter of cooking the search engines to rig it, as Trump alleged, against conservative news sites or any news site that has an article that's complimentary or even-handed?
Right, but how do they decide what goes on top? What's the first thing that pops up? I mean, I'm just Googling you now, and I don't like what I'm hearing.
Is that right? What?
I don't.
What?
This behavior, Mr. Prof, is very concerning.
Dan Prof.
I didn't know you had another side job.
Oh, really?
As a dancer.
Oh, is that right?
I knew you were hanging out with Mayor Emanuel too much.
Freaking Google.
No, but I mean, all right, so you Google, all right, I Googled myself after I Googled you. Yours shows all your Twitter. It's all your tweets. And then your Google images is a picture of you, and then there's a picture of Brendan Riley.
Oh, for my Twitter war with Brendan Riley?
Yes. So that's on page 2
of
yours.
And I won that war in part because only one of us was sober.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
And it
he
wasn't
was
the alderman.
from the Boss Bar.
Yeah.
But it said, so the first thing that pops up is the Chicago Tribune article that they wrote about this is not my Me Too moment in regards to the sheriff from Lake County.
Oh, yeah, right, yeah.
So, I mean, it's just we're like, how did that get there?
Well, they have
decides
algorithms.
Okay.
Right. But the question is, are they cooking the algorithms
Right.
which they can easily manipulate, to try and marginalize conservative content? That's what some evidence suggests, and these looks at it suggest. The question is, let's say they are doing that. Other than a contract dispute, which would be a private civil action, do you think this is an area for government regulation? Should the federal government come in and set the terms of operation in any material way for Google or Facebook or Twitter any more than they should for CBS or NBC or ABC News or any particular outlet? If Facebook wants to eliminate conservative content, flag it as hateful or whatever they do, or YouTube wants to take down Prager videos, if Twitter wants to shadow ban conservatives, other than in violation of terms of use agreements, which is not honoring a contract, which is actionable. Is there other federal regulation that you would support to sort of mandate essentially equal time? And remember, that's what the left wanted to do to talk radio. Equal time. Air America couldn't compete in terms of drawing an audience, so we want equal time. We want to force you to have Janine Garofalo on your airwaves, force you to have Al Franken on your airwaves. Conservatives recoiled at that. They were right to. And I recoil at the suggestion that we should regulate Google or Facebook or Twitter and the content choices that they make. Private companies. If you don't like it, conservatives need to do a better job of building their own infrastructure. It's the same conversation we have with Andrew Klavan about Hollywood. Conservatives need to do a better job of driving talented writers into being screenwriters, talented artists into acting and directing and producing. You need to have more people that are courageous and talented to put their talent to use in a courageous manner. That's how a free society should work, in my view. But I'm willing to entertain others. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. 64636DA, turnkey.pro. Text line, Bill in the South Loop. Hi, Bill.
Hi, guys. Good morning. I just wanted to say that whenever someone signs up for Facebook or Twitter or whatever, they have a reasonable expectation that their posts or whatever they put up is going to be seen by their followers or their friends. But if they're working behind the scenes to prevent that, that's just plain old fraud. You know?
This goes again to say, here's the terms of use. Are you violating the terms of use? Then I have a claim against you as a user/customer. And since on Facebook, for example, you are the product, then perhaps you would have a claim, the same kind of claim that Prager University is lodging against YouTube. But the question is, but the question is, federal government coming in and setting the terms of operation for these companies. And I'm not saying that Kudlow or Trump are suggesting that's what they want to do, but they're leaving it open to interpretation at this point, trying to, as I said, set a shot across the bow of these companies.
No, the government should not get involved. Everyone has the right to speak, but no one has the right to be heard. You can't confuse those two.
There you go. Well said, Bill. Thanks for the call. That's exactly it.
I'm still going through your Google.
What else did you find out?
I don't know if you want to. I don't know if I should tell you.
I was acquitted.
I didn't do it.
That part of my life is over.
I'm going to look at you differently now.
Paul in St. Charles.
Hey, good morning, guys. How you doing?
Morning.
Hi.
Hey, I just get a little tired of the Republican, line bags about this whole thing. I mean, start up a competitive, offering to Google and to Bing or whoever else is out there, and build your own search engine that'll get you the results you want. I mean, it's a fair market. It's a free market. Is it fair? No, not necessarily, but nobody's stopping any conservatives from rallying together and create a search engine that's going to play the same games that the left might be playing. So
yeah, I think
stop whining.
I think that's
my point.
I think that's fair. Thanks for the call, Paul. I mean,
idea, conservative search engine.
Well, I mean, and again, talk radio would be the counter to what we're talking about with online media companies. Talk radio is dominated by conservatives. Mm-hmm. So would you, if you want the federal government to come in and regulate social media companies on the content basis, licensing basis, obviously FCC, public airwaves, you have to get FCC licensure. But if you want them to regulate the essentially the government to act as an editor for these companies, then would you want the same for talk radio? I wouldn't. Doug in Waukegan.
Good morning. I agree with you, Dan, that they shouldn't necessarily go through and regulate on an individual basis. But, and you touched on it in your last comment, when you equated broadcasters to the internet, broadcasters have to go through the licensing process. Mm-hmm. And there is a certain limited avenue for appeal. You can file objections and protests to the FCC with that sort of thing, as was done with a couple of the networks when they were being creative in their interpretation of certain news events in the past. So do I necessarily want to see them licensed? No, I wish there was something we could do, but short of that, and it's an incredibly easily misused tool, I don't see that we could. So therefore, take what we got.
All right, thanks for the call, Doug. Sean in Elmwood Park.
Is this the
You know what I'm loving? Republicans, they cannot apply principles, the same principles, to different topics. Conservatives can. We spent a year and a half properly fighting for the right of a baker to not bake a cake for people he didn't like, for no other reason. And as far as reasonable
that's actually a mischaracterization of the Masterpiece Cake Shop case, but go ahead.
Okay, why? The two homosexuals who went in there holding hands and wanted a cake the way they wanted it had a reasonable expectation to get the cake. We argued, rightfully so, that the guy who actually makes the cake doesn't have to make the cake. Well, what was the argument about?
So it was a religious liberty case. It was a First Amendment case, which is why it made it to the Supreme Court. It wasn't,
You mean beliefs?
Excuse me.
You mean beliefs?
Excuse me. It was a religious liberty First Amendment case. And so what you're talking about here wouldn't be a First Amendment case because there is no First Amendment right to post on Twitter, Google, or post on Twitter, Facebook, access Google. That's the difference.
It's applying the beliefs of the owners in one form or another. You like to apply it to God. I don't care about that. I'm applying it to beliefs because the belief structure of a socialist is far different of the people who believe in freedom. Now, if you really believe in freedom, you believe in the freedom of the socialist. The socialist can say, I don't want you on my business, in my business. I'm not going to service you. That's his right. We as conservatives are supposed to have the principles to even apply it to the scumbag lowlifes we hate.
Yeah, that's right.
So don't use Google.
Yeah, that's right.
It's the same principle. And it's the same principle with everything. I heard your interview with Stephen Moore, and I heard him backpedal. No comment. Why no comment? Because we can't say it's not right for Obama to dictate the rules of the world any more than it's right for Trump.
Yeah.
The problem is we've lost our way, and we attach it to popularity. Makes us no better than them.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Sean. You need to listen to both halves of an interview or a conversation rather than just the one half that you want to exploit, because that's what Stephen Moore said. Stephen Moore characterized new NAFTA as sort of a shadow of old NAFTA in the conversation.
I don't know if I like very calm Sean.
Well, Sean just needs to hear what somebody is actually saying rather than just stick with his cut and paste position that he will not get off of no matter what evidence is presented, no matter what argument is offered in response, and thus he melds constitutional arguments with sort of philosophical ones. And we can contrast and compare, but you have to listen in order to do that. So maybe he'll do better filling in for Joe Walsh than he did today.
Yeah, programming note, he'll be on from 5 to 7 all week.
Right, so from 5 to 7 today, you can have Sean not listen to you.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
The following is a paid political announcement.
I lived in Grays Lake, and I have sold and moved out of the state.
Billy V is a union employee. He left Illinois because he couldn't afford to pay $9,000 a year in property taxes on his $200,000 townhome in Grays Lake. Tony S.'s home in Park Ridge is being liquidated by the government to pay for someone else's pension.
I'm paying between $13,000 and $14,000 a year in property taxes, which is insane. I can't save for my retirement. They're basically stealing my equity from me.
Rich, poor, Republican, Democrat, you will not be spared the financial disaster the highest property taxes in the nation inflict. The good news is there's a group of independent candidates who aren't financed by Madigan or Rauner. They're working people taking up our fight to lower your property taxes. They made a life in Illinois, and the hell if they're going to let politicians take it away. Go to SaveYourHomeNow.org for information on the candidates leading the revolt. Go to SaveYourHomeNow.org to hear your neighbors' stories and share your own. SaveYourHomeNow.org isn't just a website, it's a battle cry.
Liberty Principles paid for this ad and is solely responsible for its content, not authorized by any candidate or candidate committee.
Tweet from Carolyn Shelby on the issue. I think she's an expert in this space. On the issue of Google News Index, one of the stories we mentioned. the Google News Index uses a different algorithm than the regular universal search results. You have to be an approved publisher to be in Google News, approved by a human being, by the way. And there's also categories that publishers are defined by Google as regional, national, by various niches. So it's complicated. And so this, this is why it's happy to ask questions and have Google explain, so we can separate fact from fiction as it pertains to how they treat content from different ideological perspectives.
Turnkey IT knows that computer networks and all things IT are the vital heartbeat of any company. However, keeping up with hardware and software to hiring and managing IT staff can be costly and time-consuming. But there is a different solution. Now your business can have a full-time IT department for only $795 a month. That's what Turnkey's all-in small business package is for. You get world-class help desk, on-site and remote support, monitoring of network resources, 365 hosting, cloud backup, antivirus, and so much more, plus new hardware every 4 years. Hey, where can you hire a reliable and highly capable employee for less than $10K per year? You don't have to with Turnkey IT. From 1 person to 200 employees, it's easy and affordable with Turnkey IT. You run your business, they'll handle the technical stuff. Visit turnkey.pro today. That's turnkey.pro.
You know, I'm not a genius about money. I love my credit cards, and they love me. I was using them as a source of income, and then I got behind in my payments, and creditors were calling. I figured I had a problem, and I didn't know how to deal with it. I heard about Trinity, so I called and talked to a counselor. In half an hour, we worked out a plan. Now I've got one easy monthly payment, a lower interest rate, and I'm getting out of debt.
If you're in an endless cycle of paying on credit card balances that never seem to go away, then get ready for a toll-free number that will put you on a path to financial recovery. Trinity will consolidate your accounts, put a stop to late fees and over-limit charges, reduce your interest, and possibly improve your credit score. You'll save thousands. If your debt has you down, we should talk. Call 1-800-990-6976. That's 1-800-990-6976. Call 1-800-990-6976.
My name is Lauren Sullivan, and I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis 9 years ago. And I was severely disabled. And about 6 years ago, my mother had found Balance of Nature. So we decided to give it a try because at that point, nothing was helping. I was skeptical at first, but over time I realized I had more energy levels. I was sleeping better, which was huge, and my hair looked better, my skin looked better, my nails looked better, and then I was able to weed off some of those medications. And I know, had I not found Balance of Nature, I would not be living the quality of life that I am now.
When you call, use discount code CHICAGO, and we'll take 35% off your first preferred set of fruits and veggies and have them shipped to you free. Call 800-246-8751. That's 1-800-246-8751, or go online to balanceofnature.com and use discount code CHICAGO.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, quickly, Lisa in Oswego, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hi, I guess I'm one of those conservative whiners the other gentleman spoke of, because I feel like these people, Facebook, Twitter, they are run like monopolies, because when you buy your iPhone, who's hardwired in there? You get very limited choices. You get the T for Twitter.
Oh, do we lose Lisa? All right, thanks for the call, Lisa. I get the point. Monopolies don't occur other than through government sponsorship. Natural monopoly is sort of a fallacy. Apple was a monopoly. Microsoft was a monopoly until it wasn't. Standard Oil was a monopoly until it wasn't. Usually monopolies are like public utilities that exist because of government sponsorship. But in a true market setting, there is no such thing. And look, if the left is better at doing something, or leftist techs are better at doing something, then using the power of the state to plunder them is not the path that conservatives should take if they want to be principled on the matter of how a free society should be governed. And if there are consequences to that, then there are. But it's still the most moral and efficient way to organize a society.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer, a former Chicago police officer who lived what Jason Van Dyke is living. But first, let's go into the newsroom. Here's Mike Scott.
Gray skies and 70 degrees. We're watching Wall Street this morning as the numbers on the U.S. economy are out. A growing economy, 4.2% annual rate in the second quarter. 2 workers building a hotel near Disney World die in a plunge from a 6th-floor scaffolding which collapsed. Third worker was rescued after the collapse that occurred around 4:30 this morning. In general election matchups in November, well, they're set following primary elections in big states, Florida and Arizona. Among the most surprising winners is Tallahassee, Florida Mayor Andrew Gillum. The liberal progressive defeated former Congresswoman Gwen Graham in a race for the Democratic nomination for governor. In Arizona, Congresswoman Martha McSally won a bitter 3-way battle for the GOP nomination to replace outgoing Senator Jeff Flake. Meantime, Senator John McCain will lie in state at the Arizona State Capitol complex today on what would have been his 82nd birthday. Arizona Governor Doug Ducey will be among those paying tribute.
There's a huge loss. There is a tremendous void, not only for Arizona, but for America.
A private ceremony will take place for the McCain family at 10 a.m. local time. Heavy rain caused flooding and other problems in the Chicago area. Overnight thunderstorms caused trees to fall in Kane County, in Geneva. Power is out, according to ComEd, to several thousand. Crews continue searching later today for a kayaker who went missing in Lake Michigan near Highland Park. Sebastian Duncan disappeared in the waters overnight Monday. A second kayaker who was with him was able to make it to shore. The death toll in Sunday's Chicago Little Village neighborhood fire is now at 10. The cause remains under investigation after 14-year-old Adrian Hernandez died at the hospital yesterday. While conducting raids Tuesday in Gary, Indiana, a DEA agent shot a dog at one of those residences. Greg Westfall, DEA's special agent in charge in the state of Indiana, said the dog was at a residence that agents had a search warrant for due to an ongoing investigation. The investigations resulted in multiple arrests and seizures of illegal substances. Cubs and Mets resume play around noontime today after last night's suspension in the 10th inning with the score tied at 1. Neil Walker hit a pinch hit bomb in the bottom of the 9th inning. Yankees rallied to beat the White Sox 5-4 in the Bronx. The news service of Mothers Against Drunk Driving. Mothers Against Drunk Driving supports victims of drunk driving, drug driving, and underage drinking at no charge. Call their 24-hour victim helpline, 877-MAD-HELP. That's MADD.org. 834. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher sees more and more evidence of a corrupt media.
Oh, ICE arrested a man who was trying to take his pregnant wife to the hospital to give birth. They found out he's wanted for murder. And as soon as they found out he's a murder suspect, the story, it just vanished. If you want an example of a corrupt news media, here it is.
The Mike Gallagher Show. Weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Hi, I'm Tom Sadeka, President and CEO of Precision Payroll of America. We're the 35-year-old company whose first employee and first client are still working together. Without further ado.
Hi, I'm Patty Fritz, Precision Payroll's first employee. Yes, I'm real. I love working with my team and our clients and providing the best service and support. Hard to believe it's been that long. But when you love what you do, it's great. And I do love what we do at Precision Payroll. I didn't start for myself either.
That's right, Patty. I was there day one, and I'm still working with you today. Hi, I'm Jack Bishop, owner of Priority Logistics in Elk Grove and Precision Payroll's first client. Yes, I'm real too. Precision Payroll has served us exceptionally for 35 years. We've grown together over the years, and I look forward to many more to come.
Jack and Patty, thank you both for making Precision Payroll of America a great company to do business with. To join our growing ranks of clients, visit us at precisionpayroll.com.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
It's the Labor Day sale at Ace, which means it's the perfect time to buy a grill from our exclusive lineup of premium brands, including Weber, Traeger, and more. Right now, get the right grill at the right price delivered right to your door. Now through Labor Day, hurry in and save $50 on select Weber Spirit grills. Plus, get free assembly and delivery on any grill $3.99 and up, only at Ace. Offer valid for Ace Rewards members only through September 3rd. Store stock only. See participating store for scheduling and details.
When the need for senior care arises, there's no place like home. Your loved ones should never have to give up living at home. Visiting Angels will provide home care for your mom or dad at home up to 24 hours per day, including personal care, meals, and light housework. You'll select your professional caregiver with Visiting Angels. Look up visitingangels.com or call 877-374-LIVE. That's 877-374-LIVE. Franchises are available. Visiting Angels, America's choice in senior home care.
8:37. Let's get an update on the roads in the Alarm Detection Systems Traffic Center. Here is Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. The inbound Kennedy is jammed from Austin to the Burn Circle. It's an hour and 22 minutes. O'Hare to downtown, 57 minutes from Montrose, 54 in the Express. Outbound, 26 minutes to Montrose and 54 to the airport. Eden's 20 minutes. Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 38. The Spur has delays both ways. Eisenhower looking at an hour and 12 minutes, 390 to downtown, 45 minutes from Manheim, outbound 48 to 390. Stevenson, an hour and 6 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 56 minutes. Ryan, 42 minutes, 95th to downtown. I-57, 30 minutes, ID to the merge, Bishop Ford, 45. Southbound Lakeshore Drive is jammed. Irving Park to North Avenue, Wacker to Monroe, northbound from the Stevenson to Monroe. Southbound Tri-State delays are 2E to Irving Park, northbound Sibley to 31st, and from the Reagan Tollway to Lawrence. Veterans Memorial delays are southbound the Army Trail Toll to 22nd, northbound I-55 to the Reagan Tollway and St. Charles to 290, southbound 53 from Palatine Road to Higgins. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the 1 Hour Heating and Air Conditioning Weather Center. Clouds will break this afternoon, a cooler afternoon with a high near 75. In Chicago this morning, 69 degrees officially at O'Hare. Next news at 9. And Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Don't forget that you can watch Chicago's Morning Answer on the Income Store live video stream every morning at 560theanswer.com.
Tickets for Freedom Summit Chicago are on sale now at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. So next week, jury selection begins in the Jason Van Dyke trial, the former Chicago police officer who shot and killed Laquan McDonald. And remember that the judge has withheld his decision on the motion to change the venue out of Cook County until after jury selection. So that's still a open question. And we talked to the FOP president, Kevin Graham, at the top of the 7 o'clock hour about this interview Jason Van Dyke gave to the Chicago Tribune, published today. First time he's talked about the shooting since it occurred 4 years ago.
Yeah, and what he said that, he talked about that night. He came home, the magnitude of what happened, quote, "I remember coming home and just sitting down in the shower until the water went cold, and even then, I couldn't get out." And he went on to say that he prays every day for McDonald's family, and he's a devout Catholic, and he says, "I offer up a rosary every day."
He also said he considers himself to have been a good cop. The 12 years he was on the Chicago police force, never discharged his weapon except in the incident with Laquan McDonald, where, of course, he infamously shot him 16 times when his fellow officers on the scene did not open fire. And that is going to be, I assume, part of the case in chief presented by the prosecution for the jury. And by the way, just even talking about the jury, the decision by Van Dyke and his legal team to go with a jury trial as opposed to a bench trial.
Yeah, that was precarious, but I think the judge, they realized that they might be better off with a jury rather than one man deciding.
It's interesting because that's clearly what they decided, right. And it says something about the confidence in Cook County Circuit Court judge, the ability of a Cook County Circuit Court judge perhaps just this one or maybe in general, to not succumb to political pressure, to make a ruling based on the facts and the law, as opposed to going along with where obviously the majority opinion is in Cook County on the matter of Van Dyke's guilt. This is something that they've surveyed.
Right. They've surveyed, and what they found out is that 85% of those surveyed said they've already made a decision about guilt or innocence in this case.
And this was part of the petition presented for change of venue, which, as I said, the judge will make a determination on after jury selection next week. For more on this topic, somebody else who lived through a police-involved shooting, pleased to be joined again by our friend Brian Warner, who is the president of the Police Survivors Network, former Chicago police officer. Brian, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Morning, Dan. Morning, Amy. How are you guys?
Good. You wanted to comment on the Jason Van Dyke case.
I did. First of all, we can't, have any falsehoods that this isn't a calculated move by the defense. I mean,
right.
the narrative they're trying to get out there is certainly an important one. The city's had over 4 years to get their narrative out there. The city at this point needs Jason to be convicted because of everybody's concern of the riot. And they're doing everything they can to not back the officer who did nothing wrong. Had they done the right thing right away and presented the facts of the case instead of burying it, and the reason they buried it, we all know, is because it was election year. Anita Alvarez at the time and Rahm Emanuel were both in the midst of a heavy election. So they had to bury it.
Well, explain your perspective as a former Chicago police officer on the what you just said, which is he did nothing wrong, because people see the video. Of course, they see Laquan McDonald shot 16 times, and they say that's excessive force at minimum. Maybe he should have never even fired. Certainly, he didn't need to shoot him 16 times, and thus he is guilty of something. Maybe it's not premeditated murder, maybe it's manslaughter, but he's guilty of something. You say Van Dyke did nothing wrong. Explain.
Well, he had every right to fire. I mean, in the training, the law says anybody can shoot the person. The person's armed with a knife and has refused numerous lawful orders by Jason and other officers to drop the knife. So he's an armed offender who, with a knife, Jason has every legal right to fire. His training teaches him to continue to fire until the threat is eliminated. After he fires the first several shots, when you're in the midst of a shooting like that, you get tunnel vision, your adrenaline goes up highest that your body can produce, and you do get caught up in the moment. But he continues to fire. I assume, I don't know this for a fact, but he's firing and assuming he's missing because Laquan is high on PCP and he's not reacting to the shots that are hitting him. So that the first 4 or 5 shots, you may think he's missing because you're caught up in the moment. So he continues to fire. As far as firing when he's still on the ground, you're trained to continue to fire in the academy. They teach you fire until the threat is eliminated.
And that shooting took 15 seconds. Right. Just so we know.
Right. I mean, this all happened in a matter of 15 seconds.
Now,
so Jason goes to do a tactical reload. His partner says, "Hold on, you're caught up in this. Let's reassess." As Jason, he tells Jason to stop, and he goes over and he kicks the knife out. Once the knife is kicked out of his hand, that is when the threat is totally eliminated. As soon as that knife, I mean, you can throw a knife at somebody from laying on the ground. So that's going to be part of the defense as well. He is taught. You want to talk about retraining officers and when they can shoot and then de-escalation? We can do all that. But you cannot prosecute Jason and ruin the rest of his life and take the father away from the children because you taught him to do these things or you trained him to do these things and the law says he can do them. Because of politics and because of emotion, we cannot ruin his life or ruin his life any more than it already is by sending him to prison.
I want to ask you about it and remind our audience of what happened to you in your situation. You were in a police car and you just put somebody under arrest.
I mean, and that's it too. We've talked about it. No officer leaves their home any time and says, "Gosh, I hope I get in a shooting today." That just does not happen. I mean, and the officers that I've spoke with, there's a thing called the officer involved shooting class at the academy that you're required to go to if you discharge your weapon, whether it be to kill an animal or you fire an offender and miss. You're still required to go to this class. And in the class, there's few components. The survivors group is there talking about the resources we have. There's an element of post-traumatic stress. So that's going to be there. Some have it severe, some have it a little bit, but you're going to have some form of post-traumatic stress after an incident like that. But then the other component they talk about is the spiritual aspect of it, the difference between murder and killing. I carry the guilt as a Catholic, as Jason does, a devout Catholic, of having to take a life. And our chaplain, Father Dan Brandt, does a presentation talking about the difference between murdering and killing, and that put me at ease. But what I carry with me primarily now is survivor's guilt. How is it that I'm shot in the back in close proximity without wearing a bulletproof vest, and I'm still here to talk about it? It's an emotion and something that I'm sure Jason carries, having to take that life. But I'm hoping that he's coming to grips with it, and I'm 100% certain that he's not lying and telling you he's saying these prayers when he's not. I know him personally, and I know he's carrying that guilt.
Brian, tell us what happened in your incident, the shooting in which you were involved, you were just describing.
We arrested a panhandler of all things, and he was handcuffed behind his back in the backseat of our uncaged squad car, and he was able to produce a gun and fire on us inside the squad car. I mean, we had to bail out of the moving car, and he continued to fire at the busy intersection of Chicago and Wells at 5 in the evening, in the height of the rush hour, and there was a gunfight right there in the intersection. And again, I get emotional just thinking about it. And it's any police officer that's gone through something like this, people don't realize. The poor officer that had to shoot the barber. We've talked about that. It's a young kid just out of the academy who did his job, did everything that was expected of him, did to his training and everything. But still, people watch that video and are going to crucify him and prosecute him before anybody even has the true facts. That's another curious thing to me. Everyone can get everything they need from one grainy black and white dark video and make the decisions that they need on the Jason Van Dyke case because that's what they want to see. But yet, with the other case with the barber, they had a whole different perspective. They needed the audio, they needed this angle, they needed everything else because it wasn't what they wanted to see.
Right. Now, does
so,
Jason...
I'm sorry.
No, it's all right. Has Jason Van Dyke has he seen the video?
I'm sure he has, and it's unfortunate because, it's part of the investigation that I was forced to watch the video, and I recommend when I go to the officer involved shooting class, and I tell the officers, I said, if you have to watch it once or twice because of the investigation and testifying and whatnot, I said, but don't make a habit of watching it. I overwatched it, and it really weighed on me because I analyzed it, and it's still emotional.
What do you think Chicago police, in conjunction with Chicago's political authority, should be doing and saying in advance of this trial, if anything?
Well, there was another high-profile shooting, and the state's attorney's office did this wonderful presentation, did all the facts, went out there and showed. It's probably too late now because of the trial. And he's been charged, but he should have never been charged. But now they should be asking for calm. They should be starting all the relationships they have with the ministers and everybody out and with boots on the ground in these communities where a lot of the upheaval will happen. You have to get to those people and say, hey, this is what really happened. If you're angry with it, there's a process to go and change laws and change training. But there's a possibility, and once the facts are presented and the law is explained, that he's going to be acquitted. As awful as it looks, and the optics of it, it's factual and it's our legal process, and we cannot just discard that and destroy our city because of it.
He is Brian.
I know that's a difficult thing to present, but it's going to have to start happening soon.
He is Brian Warner. He's the president of the Police Survivors Network, former Chicago police officer. Brian, thanks for joining us. Appreciate your perspective.
Thanks, guys. Have a wonderful day. Keep law enforcement in your prayers.
Will do. Thanks, Brian. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
The more you listen, the more you'll know. This is Chicago's Morning Answer. Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
You remember a simpler time when family fun was about having fun. It didn't include the kids glued to their tablets or smartphones. Well, real family fun is back at Gobert's Pumpkin Patch. For almost 70 years, Gobert's has been Chicagoland's family destination for fall fun.
This was the most fun day ever. My parents were there, my kids were there. There was a pumpkin patch, a maze, a haunted house, slides, a train, a fresh market, and there was so much more. I loved it.
It's a family tradition for us to visit Gobert's every October. The pumpkins are great, the attractions are fun, and the apple cider donuts are to die for.
Love
Loved it. One price to get in, and almost all the activities were free. My kids had a blast.
Listen to the kids.
My mom loves the homemade caramel apples.
I have to say, the pumpkin cannon is cool.
They got a pumpkin-eating dinosaur. The live giraffe is really cool.
I love the jumping pillow and the Pumpkin Express train ride.
Gobert's Pumpkin Patch in Pingree Grove. Pick apples, explore the pumpkin patch, play games, ride the train. Gobert'sPumpkinPatch.com. Harvesting family memories.
Looking to secure financing on a new home or refinance your existing home? Then you need to do what I did and call David Hochberg. Today, meet Ted, Army veteran who served multiple tours in Iraq. Upon returning home, Ted struggled with PTSD and reintegrating into civilian life. Well, Ted lived in multiple veteran homes before being introduced to Rags of Honor, a Chicago-based silk screening company that hires homeless and chronically unemployed veterans. Ted was a machine operator, got promoted to director of digital marketing, and recently left Rags of Honor after securing a higher-paying job. Help employ homeless veterans like Ted. Go to ragsofhonor.us and purchase their silk screening clothing. Use promo code Team Hochberg to save 50% off the second item purchased. Now, if you're a veteran securing a VA loan, call Team Hochberg, a lender who respects your service and proudly supports veteran. 312-751-1333, 312-751-1333. Team Hochberg helped me and thousands of AM 560 listeners, but they can't help you if you don't call. 312-751-1333 or visit am560david.com. Pearl Mortgage, Equal Housing Lender, Illinois Residential Mortgage Licensee 4358, NMLS 19186.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies in a capsule.
I've got ankylosing spondylitis, which is a arthritic disease, calcification of the major joints and spine, and I just don't have the pain that I used to have. It's really kind of amazing. Balance of Nature has been an amazing product. I've recommended it to literally hundreds. I'm a pastor, and I've said, y'all just try it. Give it a month. Give it a try. And so hopefully they have. But it's an amazing product, and the neatest thing is when you first open up that bottle and you can smell the fruits and vegetables. Every time I open one, I just get a big kick out of that.
When you call, use discount code CHICAGO, and we'll take 35% off your first preferred set of fruits and veggies and have them shipped to you free. Call 800-246-8751. That's 1-800-246-8751, or go online to balanceofnature.com and use discount code CHICAGO.
Famous Winston Churchill quotes, presented by Automated Systems.
Winston Churchill said, "You will never reach your destination if you stop and throw stones at every dog that barks." That seems like a timeless bit of common sense advice.
I know you support companies that share your conservative values. For FDA-regulated staffing needs, Automated Systems provides top talent, from experienced quality control and quality assurance engineers to top validation and compliance experts. Depend on Automated Systems. Hiring the best is critical to success. ASI Resources are all degreed professionals with decades of experience in manufacturing, automation, and FDA compliance. That's why ASI is retained by all of Chicagoland's Fortune 500 life science companies to successful startups. For a staffing evaluation, call Laz at Automated Systems, toll-free 844-HIRE-ASI, or visit automatedsys.com.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest-growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Do you know your bank's fraud tolerance? I'm Ann Dollagall, Treasury Management Executive. At Signature Bank, we have zero tolerance. While some of the big banks may write off smaller incidences of fraud, we use a multi-layered approach to fight fraud before it happens to our customers. There's been a record number of businesses hit with payments fraud this year. Keeping your business assets safe is our top priority. We are trained, and we will train you to recognize potential wire fraud threats and business email compromise scams. Call us today to find out how Signature Bank can work with your business to fight fraud.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. To learn more about turning your business vision into reality, visit signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
When you purchase an alarm system, you do it for one reason above all others. You need to know something about the people or property under your care. Knowing that what matters most will be looked after by professionals when you can't be there is a comforting feeling. At Alarm Detection Systems, we've learned a great deal from our decades of service. We know how to treat customers on the phone. We know that installing quality security products using certified technicians is the only way to go. We know that same-day service and local monitoring will provide the safety and peace of mind you're looking for. You no longer have to wonder if your home or business is protected by your alarm system. Know that it is. At home or on the go, the information you seek is right in your hands. It's good to be in the know. Visit adsalarm.com or call 630-844-6300. That's 630-844-6300 or online at adsalarm.com. Alarm license number 127000143.
The following is a paid political announcement.
Illinois property taxes punish the most vulnerable the most, like widow Mary P.
They just keep on going up and up. So that means my mortgage payment goes up, and it's kind of hard. What are they doing for us? Nothing.
66-year-old Chicago resident Linda J. had to take a second job just to pay her property taxes.
Mine is $7,000 a year. If I wasn't still working, I'd be screwed. Even at retirement age, I'm getting my Social Security, but I still have to work, and I'm working 2 jobs.
Rich, poor, Republican, Democrat, you will not be spared the financial disaster the highest property taxes in the nation inflict. The good news is there's a group of independent candidates who aren't financed by Madigan or Rauner. They're working people, taking up our fight to lower your property taxes. They made a life in Illinois, and the hell if they're going to let politicians take it away. Go to SaveYourHomeNow.org for information on the candidates leading the revolt. Go to SaveYourHomeNow.org to hear your neighbor's stories and share your own. SaveYourHomeNow.org isn't just a website, it's a battle cry.
Liberty Principles paid for this ad and is solely responsible for its content, not authorized by any candidate or candidate committee.
Did you know, Amy, that McHugh Construction is